Chapter 869. Oh my God, these 3 lists and 1 chart are too magical and unbelievable. The man role allows those on the list to have the ability to reverse time and receive innate essence energy. As long as one is on the list, even a stupid pig can break free from the shackles of the mortal world and advance on the path to immortality. The earth role can actually allow an ancient powerhouse to advance to a peerless powerhouse. The powerhouses in the universe will go crazy for a spot on the earth role. Zhua blinked her eyes, her face full of disbelief and disbelief. She had followed Chen Shi in the Thousand Demon City for so many years, and she loved to listen to all kinds of secret stories in the universe. Naturally, she knew very well that advancing from an ancient powerhouse to a peerless powerhouse was truly a narrow escape. The most difficult part was to rely on one's own strength to break through the shackles of heaven and earth and pass through the heavenly punishment. During this process, one would no longer be able to absorb any essence energy from the outside world. Every bit of one's magic power was consumed. Even if one could recover on their own, it could not be compared to the consumption. Once one's power was exhausted, one would be directly blasted into dregs under the heavenly punishment. Chaos was the mother of heaven and earth. Drawing down the power of chaos would naturally be able to break through the shackles of the laws of heaven and earth and increase the chances of successfully passing the tribulation. If one could be supported by the power of chaos, it would be able to replenish one's own strength. One could imagine what kind of opportunity that was. There is actually such an incredible treasure in the world. Yuer's eyes revealed a strange light as she muttered to herself. For these 100 spots, the universe will definitely enter an era of war. Bai Hu was full of splendor as if she could already see the coming great era. The earlier one is on the earth roll, the easier it is to become a thorn in the side of countless prodigies. If one doesn't have absolute combat strength, they might die at any time. At that time, all kinds of schemes and tricks will be endless. Without the peerless combat strength to suppress a realm, being on the earth roll will instead be a death sentence. Chen Shi, however, was keenly aware of the hidden murderous intent. The 100 ancient races in the universe had been recuperating for countless years, and the young generation of peerless prodigies emerged endlessly from the various forces. It was a sign that a great era of war was coming. In the chaos, there would definitely be prodigies, kings, and emperors. Born in such an era, it was unknown how many geniuses would die prematurely. Yes, Xia, you're right. Those who have the last laugh have stepped on countless corpses and stood at the peak. The soliciting moon saintess nodded and praised. The heavenly, earthly, and mortal rankings. The mortal rankings and earthly rankings are already so mysterious. What are the benefits of the heavenly rankings? Zhua asked curiously. Since the Yarrow Yu saintess had spoken, she had no intention of hiding anything. She continued, the earth roll only records the almighty experts. Naturally, the heaven roll is 1 level higher. Those who were recorded were all unparalleled experts. Unparalleled experts were existences that even heaven and earth couldn't restrain. They had undying bodies and immortal primordial spirits. They could be said to have reached the pinnacle of the world. Possessing an eternal and indestructible lifespan was practically the noblest existence in the world. The probability of death was so small that it was immeasurable. He could enter the chaos world alone. He could destroy many great worlds with a wave of his hand. However, he still existed in the long river of fate. Even the river of fate couldn't control them. However, I have never been able to completely break away from the great Tao. With every sentence she said, her expression became more solemn. What she was talking about was the true secret of heaven and earth. It was the source that ordinary experts couldn't understand. Although the unparalleled experts are free from the shackles of heaven and earth and are free and unfettered, no one can deny that they can only transcend because they have received the favor of heaven and earth. Heaven and earth nurture spirits with all things, but none of them can repay the heavens. Even if you break through the shackles of heaven and earth and become an unparalleled expert, if you don't give back what you seek from heaven and earth will naturally descend a true calamity, the 5 decay of the celestial being. The 5 decay of the celestial being? Chen Shi exclaimed in surprise. There was a trace of bewilderment between his brows. Could it be that the 5 decay of the celestial being can hurt an unparalleled expert? Yes. That's right. I've heard from my ancestors that the 5 decay of the celestial being is a sharp sword hanging above the unparalleled expert's head. Once it falls, even the unparalleled expert won't be able to escape death. I'm not too sure what's going on. However, every unparalleled expert will inevitably suffer a great tribulation of the 5 decay of the celestial being after breaking through. Yarrow, you Holy Mother muttered. Although she knew many ancient secrets, she wasn't an ancient demon god. There were many secrets among the ancient demon gods that she didn't know. Then what are the benefits of entering the heaven list? Could it be related to the 5 decay of the celestial being? Bai Hu looked at Yarrow Yu with excitement. Yes. Yarrow Yu said with yearning, legend has it that those who enter the heaven list will be given a heavenly Dao token when they are crossing the 5 decay of the celestial being. Each heavenly Dao token can be exempted from one of the 5 decay of the celestial being. Among them, the last 20 can get 1 heavenly Dao token. The top 20 can get 2 more heavenly Dao tokens and be exempted from 2 decay of the celestial being. The top 20 can get 5 heavenly Dao tokens and be exempted from the 5 decay of the celestial being. Free and unfettered. Hiss. The girls secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. Even unparalleled experts were afraid of the 5 decay of the celestial being. After all, although they had transcended the restrictions of heaven and earth, they still hadn't returned the karma from heaven and earth. They still couldn't achieve true transcendence and were still in danger of dying. It could be imagined that it was for the heaven list's quota and the heavenly Dao token. Even unparalleled experts would go crazy because of it. This was a life-saving treasure. Once the 3 lists and 1 chart were reopened, it would sweep the entire world, and countless creatures would fight for it. Even unparalleled experts couldn't just stand by and watch. It could be imagined that the immeasurable calamity would eventually come. No one could avoid it. Even peerless experts were included in the list. Only the ruler was eternal. Then what about the last chart? Xiao Bai, Di Ling also asked curiously about the benefits of the 3 lists and 1 chart. Haha. When Yarrow Yu Holy Mother heard this, her originally serious face couldn't help but bloom with a smile. She said, speaking of which, the 3 lists and 1 chart is the greatest gift to the girls in the universe. What kind of gift? What the girls were most concerned about was naturally this group of beauties. After all, this was something related to them. What is bestowed is life. Life. The girls were surprised, and some didn't understand the meaning behind it. That's right, it's life. Yarrow Yu said with a faint smile, in the universe, there are countless beautiful girls. Each of them is peerless, beautiful, and has obtained the essence of creation. If one can enter the group of beauties, not only must they be peerless, but they also have a unique temperament that can topple heaven and earth. And in the group of beauties, any one of them can be said to be a masterpiece of the heavens. They are loved by the heavens and earth. If any one of them falls, even the heavens and earth will be sad because of it. Even the heavens will feel regret. Therefore, the heavenly girls who enter the group of beauties have a chance of rebirth. Every one of the top 10 has 3 chances to be reborn, and the other heavenly girls also have 1 chance to be reborn. This kind of group of beauties can also be said to be the power of annihilation bestowed by the heavens and earth. Even if your soul is destroyed, even unparalleled experts can't stop it. It can be said that the heavens and earth dote on them. It's amazing. Yarrow Yu said slowly. The group of beauties was the arena that countless heavenly girls in the universe dreamed of. It could be foreseen that the reopening of the 3 lists and 1 chart would usher in an unavoidable era of great competition. And the immortality peach banquet in front of them was the stage for countless peerless geniuses. 3 lists and 1 chart. In the inner world, Di Shitian used the bell of heavenly samsara to reverse time, and with the help of a large number of heavenly origin pills, he continuously condensed Dharma idols in the Huangji True acupoint that he opened. When the 93 Dharma idols were completely condensed, he secretly began to pay attention to the scene in the Thousand Demon City. He looked at the guests and listened to the discussions in the city. His gaze gradually became abnormally deep. With Ming around, He naturally had a clear understanding of the 3 rankings and 1 chart. One had to know that the previous owner of Ming stood out from the other geniuses and obtained the title of Emperor of the Underworld. He fought for the 3 lists and 1 chart. He knew how dangerous it was. Lunatic DI, it seems like the immortality peach banquet that you organized has become a fuse. Those who came are all geniuses of the younger generation. This is the first step for the factions behind them to push them out of the limelight. Ming said thoughtfully. The Phoenix tribe, the Black Tortoise tribe, and the Chilean tribe. These were the royal tribes of the demon race in the ancient times. Di Shitian looked meaningfully at those peerless geniuses entering the city and said, I want to see how strong the ancient tribes are. This immortality peach banquet might be very interesting. The return of the 100 tribes was right before their eyes. Those 100 tribes that had been waiting patiently for tens of thousands of years were already preparing to take action. They were announcing their existence to the universe. Rumble. The void shook violently, and a huge crack appeared. From the crack, a huge warship broke through the air and appeared in the endless void. That warship exuded a strong deterrent force. Countless iron-blooded Dao soldiers stood on the warship, and it was very strict. A group of youths stood at the bow of the warship, chatting with each other as if they were sizing up the situation in the demon city. They quickly approached the southern heavenly gate. As they approached, a large group of cultivators in the city were surprised, and there was an uproar. That's the warship of the human race. I recognize the young geniuses on it. They are the elites of the 10 immortal sects of the human race. They are the outstanding successors of the younger generation. How dare they come to the immortality peach banquet organized by the demon race? Aren't they afraid that the demon emperor will be angry and kill them all in the demon city? The great void palace's child of destiny, the king of destiny, Tai Xian, fairy Meng Yarrow of the kind boathouse, Ding Dang of the myriad demons palace, green lotus sword fairy Li Qinglian of the sky sword valley, the Xuanji celestial maiden of the heavenly secrets sect, Mo Yang of the Shenshin Orthodox sect. Look, there's also the true disciple of the righteous sect, Ji Haoyue. I heard that his Confucian Tao has been cultivated to a high level, and is about to surpass his master. Look at that young monk. Could he be the outstanding successor of the Thunder Temple, the Golden Cicada? The Buddhist Tao of Buddhism is very unique. I'm afraid he's not an ordinary genius. Look at that young man in the purple robe. Legend has it that the Starry Hall's younger generation is full of stars, and the most powerful one is the Purple Emperor, who is known as the Crepe Myrtle Star King. If you want to know more, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 870. It's Monday again. Brothers, if you still have recommendation tickets, just give them a few recommendations. It won't take more than a few minutes. My goodness, these are the direct disciples of the 10 great immortal sects of the human race. Each of them is a peerless genius born from countless humans. Their talents are immeasurable. They are rare geniuses that only appear once in 1,000 or 10,000 years. It seems that other than the most mysterious successor of the Supreme Mystery Sect, the other 9 great immortal sects have all arrived. The human race and the demon race have a blood feud for generations. The tragic situation of the demon race back then was completely caused by the human race. They actually dared to come here. This is a bit too bold. It's a bit too arrogant. Moreover, the 100 races were forced to leave the purple gold continent by the human race. This time, they are about to return. Conflict with the human race is unavoidable. If they meet, there will be sparks. There will be undercurrents in this immortality peach banquet. Seeing the arrival of the 10 great immortal sects of the human race, countless cultivators in the heavens were guessing in their hearts. They could vaguely feel the undercurrents hidden within. They guessed that this immortality peach banquet would not be too peaceful. Especially since the human race had arrived at this time. It was almost like a weasel paying a visit to a chicken. However, no matter what, this group of human prodigies walked into the 1,000 demon city freely. Bai Yu, who was guarding the southern heavenly gate, seemed to have received some kind of order. He did not stop the human race's arrival and directly let them into the ancient city. Just like how he treated the other 100 ancient races, he treated them equally. Hihi, what a lively 1,000-demon city. I can't believe that this was created by a demon emperor. However, when I first saw Big Brother Di in the heaven-reaching tower, I already knew that he was not an ordinary demon. Now it seems that my foresight is indeed unique. Looking at the lively scene in the city, a trace of slyness flashed in the corner of Demoness Ding Dang's eyes as she smiled playfully. A crisp jingle came from her hands and feet. She emitted a shocking charm. She recalled her meeting with Di Shitian in the heaven-reaching tower. She did not know what thoughts were spinning in her mind. This time, I came to see the outstanding successors of the 100 ancient races. Between Li Qinglian's eyebrows was a mark of a green lotus. Her body exuded a strange charm, as if she had emerged from the mud but was untainted, a turbid green lotus but was not a demon. He said meaningfully. The group of people quickly entered the city under the guidance of the maid. Due to the arrival of the human race, the atmosphere in the city seemed to have become even more unusual. Swish. The ancient 100 clans arrived one after another. At this moment, a purple light flashed and a strange sound of nature came from the void. An elegant purple bamboo boat appeared out of thin air. The bamboo boat exuded a sense of elegance. When the wind blew on the bamboo boat, the boat emitted a clear and melodious sound. It was a mystical sight. It immediately attracted countless gazes. Could this boat be the purple bamboo boat of the Qin family of the Heavenly Note clan? It is said that the Heavenly Sound clan has a unique talent for music. Every one of them is born to be a master of music. It is extremely easy for them to learn the sound wave technique. When they use it, they have all kinds of magical powers. Killing people invisibly. He had always lived in seclusion. Who would have thought that he would appear at this moment? Could it be that this is the era of great battles? At this moment, countless cultivators had gathered in the demon city. Among them, there were many knowledgeable cultivators who knew the origin of the purple bamboo boat. The mystery of the Heavenly Note clan attracted countless gazes. At the moment when the purple bamboo boat appeared, in the fairy pool, the women who had gathered in the pavilion and were secretly watching the scene of the guests fell silent at the same time. She is here. Bai Hu narrowed her eyes and looked at the bamboo boat, revealing a subtle expression. She is here after all. Chen Shi took a deep breath and looked at the bamboo boat quietly. He had a vague feeling. He had already guessed that the person in the boat must have arrived. The Qin family of the Heavenly Note clan, Katomi. This name was not unfamiliar to Chen Shi. It could even be said that it left a deep impression in his mind. Although he had never met her face to face, he had a good understanding of her. Regarding the faint ambiguity between her and Di Shitian, she had long seen through it like a fire. It was not an exaggeration to say that she was his confidant. No one would turn a blind eye to her husband's confidant. Obviously, the arrival of Katomi had undoubtedly touched Chen Shi. Even Su Tianxiang was not as calm as before. Yarrow Yu Saintus saw this and showed a look of understanding. She stood up and said with a faint smile, Xia, sometimes you have to give up something to gain something. It's better to let things go. Mother will go talk to Empress Di. I'll leave it to you to decide. There seemed to be a hidden meaning in her words. She smiled meaningfully and turned to leave the pavilion. Chen Shi looked at the scene in the ancient mirror. The purple bamboo boat did not come to the southern heavenly gate like the other 100 ancient clans. Instead, it immediately stopped in the void and remained motionless, as if it was silently waiting for something. Madman Di, your confidant is here. This little girl of the Qin family is devoted to you. What are you still hesitating for? You are now the demon emperor of the demon race and have a noble status. You can't leave such a big jade lake empty. As the emperor, it's normal for you to have 3 palaces and 6 courtyards. Ming instigated. In his opinion, as long as it was a peerless heavenly girl, she should be taken into the jade lake and regarded as a taboo. Love between a man and a woman was a law of nature. There was nothing to be afraid of. A real man should take in countless beauties. This was the right of the strong. I believe that Chen Shi will make a decision on this matter. Di Shitian said calmly. He of course understood Kotomi's feelings. Now that the demon race had a stable foundation, they were no longer as conservative and restrained in love as before. However, Chen Shi was the master of the Jade Lake. He was not in a hurry to go. He wanted to see Chen Shi's attitude. Of course, no matter what Chen Shi's attitude was, he had no reason to let down such an infatuated woman. Chen Shi was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, "Qing Xia, what orders does your majesty have?" Qing Xia stepped forward and answered. "Immediately prepare the 8-person phoenix carriage, ceremonial music, Qinghuan sword guards, and palace maids. Welcome Miss Qin to the Jade Lake's Aster Palace as a demon concubine. The guards along the way are not to be negligent in the slightest." Chen Shi naturally exuded the grace and nobility of a demon empress, graceful and graceful. "We obey your majesty's decree." When Qing Xia heard this, a strange look flashed across her face. From Chen Shi's words, she understood the hidden meaning in his words. This meant that there would be another demon concubine in the Jade Lake in the future. However, without any hesitation, she quickly turned and left. After Chen Shi finished speaking, he looked at Bai Hu, who had her head lowered. No one knew what she was thinking. He smiled faintly and said, "Sister Tianxiang, the Tianxiang Palace has been built some time ago. In the future, you can move into the Tianxiang Palace." This short sentence fell into Bai Hu's ears, but it made her body tremble violently. She raised her head and looked at Chen Shi in disbelief. However, an indescribable joy emerged in her heart. She quickly got up and bowed to Chen Shi cautiously and said, "Tianxiang greet sister." This was a greeting with a different meaning. "We are sisters, no need to be so polite," Chen Shi said while holding her up. The scene of the Aster bamboo boat made many cultivators in the city, and even the 100 ancient clans, faintly surprised. They did not seem to understand why they did not enter the city since they had already arrived. They were at a loss. However, in the Jade Lake, a bell suddenly sounded, and a zither played. 8 maids carried a luxurious phoenix carriage out. Next to it, a group of heroic azure phoenix sword servants walked out in an orderly manner, followed by a large group of maids. The ceremony was solemn. In the future, there were guards opening the way. The group quickly headed towards the southern heavenly gate. Countless cultivators in the city were shocked by this sudden action. For a moment, there was complete silence. The phoenix carriage quickly went out of the southern heavenly gate and arrived in front of the Aster bamboo boat. Qing Xia said respectfully, "The demon empress ordered Qing Xia to welcome Empress Kotomi into the Jade Lake. Let's go back to the Aster Palace to rest. Please move the carriage." Inside the Aster bamboo boat, Kotomi and Qin Buchuan sat opposite each other. Hearing the words outside, Kotomi's delicate body unconsciously trembled. Qin Buchuan saw this and said with an elegant smile, "My good niece, the opportunity you have been dreaming of has appeared in front of you. Why are you still hesitating? Don't worry, third uncle will take care of everything for you." When Kotomi heard this, she calmed down and walked out of the boat with her zither. She looked at the phoenix carriage in front of her and sat on it without any fear. On the spot, the phoenix carriage turned around and headed towards the Jade Lake. Along the way, there were endless ceremonies and music. A festive atmosphere reverberated in the air. Countless pairs of eyes in the city watched the phoenix carriage enter the jade pool with dumbfounded expressions. They were unable to recover from their shock. After a long while, there was an uproar. It was as if a bomb had suddenly been dropped. It was the first time they had seen such a solemn welcome. Oh my God, what is the relationship between the Heavenly Note clan and the Demon Emperor? Their arrival made the Jade Lake send out such a ceremony and music to open the way. The phoenix carriage is a means of transportation. This is the treatment of a demon concubine. Could it be that fairy Kotomi who just came out? Does she have an unknown close relationship with the Demon Emperor? Even the Phoenix clan, Chilean clan, and Black Tortoise clan did not do anything when they arrived. However, the Qin clan immediately received them with a ceremony. There must be something fishy going on. Could it be that the Demon Emperor is taking advantage of the Immortality Peach Banquet to officially take in a concubine? I heard that the Jade Lake only has one Demon Empress so far. In an instant, countless guesses spread rapidly. Many of the rumors were extremely absurd. However, in the eyes of the 100 ancient races, as well as many observant people, this scene made them feel that something was amiss. Haha, the Qin clan's little girl finally got what she wanted. However, this DI brat really can't stay still. It has been less than a year since the battle, and he is holding this Immortality Peach Banquet. I'm afraid there will be trouble. In a restaurant in the city, the slovenly know-it-all sat opposite the Demon Lord. They drank spirit wine while looking at the scene outside. The Demon Lord only glanced at know-it-all indifferently. He drank his wine quietly and did not say anything. He was as cold as usual. Dong. A crisp sound of a bell rang. The Immortality Peach Banquet officially began. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidien.com. There are more chapters. I support the author. I support the original reading. Chapter 871. A small climax is coming. Brothers, please help me if you have a ticket. Jade Pool. The original demonic pond had been renamed the Jasper Pond. The Jasper Pond was vast, at least tens of thousands of feet wide. Inside the pond, there were many kinds of lotuses that absorbed the essence of the Jasper Pond. The lotuses bloomed one after another, decorated with green leaves. They swayed with the wind, like lotus fairies dancing. The fragrance of the flowers drifted leisurely, filling the air above the Jasper Pond. On the Jade Pool, there were paths paved with divine crystals that connected to pavilions on the water. They were faintly discernible in the faint clouds. At the center of the Jade Pool, there was a huge oval platform that occupied tens of thousands of feet. It was suspended above the Jade Pool. The platform was spacious, and at the top, there was a 9-level staircase. A throne made of superior-grade divine crystals was lofty and noble. There was a picture of a group of tigers roaring in the sky. Ordinary people would feel dizzy just by looking at it, unable to bear the vast majesty. On both sides of the platform, side by side, there were 10 thrones half the height of the numinous sky throne. There were 10 on the left and 10 on the right. There were 20 in total. Further down, there were banquet tables that looked like ancient banquets. Each person had a seat. In front of each seat, there was a small table for all kinds of exquisite spirit fruits, delicacies, and fine wines. In the middle was a spacious square. When the banquet started, there would be palace maids dancing. Looking at the layout. Apparently, in this Jade Pool, according to the quality of the seats, it was divided into 3 levels. The highest level was naturally the seat of the master of the myriad demon city, Demon Emperor Shetian. As for the 20 thrones in the 2 rows below, they were naturally the second echelon. Who was up and who was down was extraordinary. Below them, everyone was treated equally. The levels were clear, but there seemed to be a sense of seniority. Clang. There was a loud ringing of a bell. Countless beautiful maids quickly appeared in the Jade Pool. Standing in various places, the azure wand swordsman gave off a heroic aura. This is the Jade Pool. As expected, it's full of vigor. It's like a fairyland. Even the rising clouds have spirituality. It's ever-changing. The Immortality Peach Banquet has finally begun. I'm just about to taste the legendary Immortality Peach. Outside the Jade Pool, many peerless geniuses gathered. Countless all-heavens cultivators looked over with anticipation and envy. It was impossible to enter the Jade Pool without a certain status. Among them, the main invitees were the 100 ancient clans and the various major forces. Ordinary cultivators could only be envious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Immortality Peach Banquet is about to begin. Please present your invitation cards and enter the Jade Lake. Each invitation card can bring 2 people in. Qing Xia, who was wearing a green armor, said in a clear voice. As soon as the various forces entered the myriad demon city, Hu, King of Nightmare, and the other officials immediately prepared the invitation cards. Every invitation card, other than the invitation card's owner, could bring 2 attendants or guards into the Jasper Lake. Of course, there wouldn't be too many. After all, the first time the peaches of immortality ripened, the tree would only bear 3,000 peaches of immortality. The Green Lawn swordsmen were in charge of guarding the entrance and the Bloodkill guards were on guard. Many geniuses took out their invitations and entered the Jade Lake. Under the guidance of a maid, they walked towards the banquet venue. The Phoenix Fairy of the Phoenix clan and the young master of the Black Tortoise clan, Xian Zhouxiao. The Qilin clan's young lord Qi Tianlin, the Li clan's Tu Xingsuan, and Tu Ling the Winged clan's Yi Feng, the Beast clan's Meng Tianqi, the Skeleton clan's Ming Juyo, the Azura clan's Shura Zhantian, the Three-Eyed Divine clan's Qian Xian, the Dragon clan's White Dragon Crown Prince Aou, Holy Dragon Princess Ao Lian, and so on. The direct disciples of the 10 great immortal sects also received invitations and entered the venue. Every one of them could be considered a rare genius. They naturally exuded their own unique aura and temperament. Every one of them was outstanding. No matter where they were placed, they would bloom with resplendent light. Even the darkness couldn't hide their sharpness. The Jade Pool was an important place in the myriad demon city. It was also the place where Di Shitian and the Demon Empress resided. No one could enter, so outsiders had no idea what was going on in the Jade Pool. Even though those who entered were peerless geniuses, they couldn't help but marvel at the scenery along the way under the guidance of the maids. Not to mention the various exotic flowers and plants, the various palaces and decorations in the Jade Pool were extremely exquisite. The air was filled with carnate essence qi, which had reached an unbelievable level. Just by taking a casual breath, he could feel the origin qi that was like liquid. The fragrance of hundreds of flowers made one feel refreshed. All kinds of beautiful sceneries. 3 steps in one, 5 steps in a different scene. It was too beautiful to be absorbed. It made one forget to leave. It lived up to the name of the Jade Pool. Unknowingly, they had entered the banquet venue in the center of the Jade Pool. Swish, swish, swish. When they saw the scene in the banquet venue, all the peerless geniuses who entered stopped at the same time. Their eyes swept across the scene in front of them in an instant. The rows of neatly arranged seats, as well as the 20 exceptionally conspicuous thrones on both sides of the soaring sky throne. The thrones naturally exuded an aura that was more noble than the ordinary seats. On the spot, the eyes of all the geniuses burst out with a bright light. A blazing light kept shining. 20. There were only 20 thrones. The numinous sky throne of the first seat was automatically skipped by them. That was the seat of the Demon Emperor, and no one would be so insensible as to set their sights on that seat. However, the people in front of them were all peerless geniuses, and no one would easily allow anyone to surpass them. They would watch as others sat on the eye-catching throne, while they could only sit in the ordinary seats. Pride. Everyone had their own pride. Not to mention the peerless geniuses like them. Hee, brilliant, really brilliant. Lunatic Di, you're really ruthless this time. In the inner world, Ming, who had been paying attention to the development of the banquet, couldn't help but lick his lips excitedly when he saw this scene. He shouted with anticipation, "In the world, the 3 lists and 1 chart are about to reopen. This is the era of heroes and geniuses competing for supremacy. The ancient 100 clans and the current main character of the world, the human race, are all geniuses who have the ability and qualifications to compete for the 3 lists and 1 chart. Every one of them is a genius with great luck. Now that they're all at the Jade Pool, how can there be enough seats for all of them? Before the banquet starts, there will definitely be a fierce battle. A battle of words. This was a blatant conspiracy. And it was a conspiracy that even if one could see that it was an open conspiracy, one would still step into it. A conspiracy was a method of setting up a trap in the dark. It might achieve one's goal, but it would lose its grandeur. If it lost its grandeur, no matter how brilliant one's methods were, it would still be unpresentable. A schemer could only hide in the dark and behind the scenes. It was commonly known as dying in the light. And an open conspiracy was the true means of an emperor. An emperor's mind technique. An open conspiracy was to make one step in despite knowing that it was a trap. One would even step in without hesitation. Because even if it was a trap in front of them, there was something in the trap that they couldn't give up. There was a reason why they had to go in. Compared to an open conspiracy, there was a difference between a low-grade and a high-grade one. And right in front of them was the most obvious open conspiracy. Those who could enter the Jade Pool were all peerless geniuses. To be able to obtain the title of a genius, none of them were fools or idiots. When they saw the seating arrangement in the banquet, they instantly realized that it was the most direct trap in front of them. And it was already inviting them into the trap. And they had no choice but to enter. No one was willing to be suppressed by other geniuses. If they were suppressed before, then in the future, even if they faced them, their confidence and aura would also be suppressed by an invisible force. This matter was proposed by the King of Nightmare. I'm just proposing an introduction. Di Shitian smiled indifferently. How could it be so easy to eat his immortal peaches? Since he was here, if he didn't reveal some details, wouldn't it seem that his immortal peaches were too easy to eat? He said meaningfully, the collision between the ancient 100 clans and the confrontation between the human race. The 100 clans have returned, so I will give them this stage. Boom. In the Jade Pool, the atmosphere instantly froze. In an era where geniuses rose together, there was no etiquette of modesty. It was about not giving up one's responsibilities. Pairs of eyes emitted a bright light. I am from the Beaming royal family of the beast race. My beast race is ranked in the top 10 among the ancient 100 clans. My beast race should have a seat in these 20 thrones. Meng Tianqi raised his voice with a barbaric beastly nature, extremely aggressive, and incomparably domineering. He let out a beastly roar and unceremoniously wanted to occupy one of the thrones. When he finished speaking, he naturally emitted bursts of intense pressure. The noble bloodline belonging to the Beaming royal family made a kind of pressure appear in the air. Wait. Yi Feng from the Wings clan smiled faintly and stopped him. Among the 100 ancient clans in the various worlds, the Heavenly Punishment clan is ranked first, followed by the Soul clan. This is something that all the clans agree on. However, there has never been a conclusion about the others. Your beast race is a little boastful about being in the top 10. Yi Feng thinks that it's not appropriate to occupy one of the thrones. Tumphh, Birdman from the Wings clan, if you're not convinced, do you dare to compete with me? Meng Tianqi's beastly eyes narrowed, and the golden fur on his body stood up. He stared at Yi Feng with an unfriendly gaze, and the golden battle axe on his back seemed to emit a kind of terrifying battle intent. The strength of the various clans is not something that we can decide with a single word. It doesn't matter who sits on the 20 thrones. However, the key is that we can't let the despicable people of the human race benefit. Shura Zhontian from the Shura clan said coldly, and his face was slightly mocking as he swept his gaze over the direct descendants of the 10 great immortal sects. Whoosh! His words immediately shifted all the attention to the human race. After the Immortality Peach Banquet, it would be the day of the 100 clans' return. The Purple Goldland was already the gathering place of the human race. Once they returned, they would naturally bear the brunt of the human race. No matter what the relationship between the various clans was, there was no doubt that the human race was the first opponent that they had to face together. And the 10 great immortal sects were the representatives of the human race. The direct descendant of the Xian Xin sect, Mo Yang, sneered and said, "If you want to sit on a throne, it depends on your own ability. Why waste your breath here? Since the human race has become the main character of the world, why would we be afraid of a challenge? If you don't want to, then I, Mo Yang, will not decline." After speaking, Mo Yang took a step forward without any warning. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 872. Today is strange. My head is dizzy. It's so painful that I want to die. Mo Yang's exquisite mystic heart secrets was proficient in the way of the sword. When he took a step, it was as if there was an invisible sword light flashing by, bringing his body through the void in an instant. His entire person was like an unsheathed killing sword wrapped in sword light, directly piercing through the void towards the throne on the right. His speed was so fast that it was simply unfathomable. There was a kind of sharpness that could cut through all thorns. "Temph, you want to occupy the throne with just you? Get down here." Meng Tianqi's beastly eyes shone with a golden divine radiance, and a terrifying bestial aura surged. His burly body instantly took a step forward, and his right claw full of golden fur grabbed at Mo Yang. The golden beast claw condensed out of thin air with the domineering aura of a beast emperor. The claw seemed to want to tear the void apart and crush the stars into dust. Mystic heart secrets. Mo Yang's body suddenly trembled, and from the pores of his body, strands of mysterious red sword aura spurted out, condensing into small red battle swords. It was as if countless sharp swords had grown out of his body in an instant, and he was like a hedgehog, covered in swords. They were terrifyingly sharp. Bang! The beast claw collided with the countless swords. Immediately, the swords were scattered on the spot, completely annihilated. However, the sharpness of the swords also pierced into the beast claw, and the divine radiance on the golden claw condensed from the beast's power was constantly being worn down. In the blink of an eye, at the same time that the swords were annihilated, the beast claw also collapsed. It seemed that they were evenly matched. However, Mo Yang's unstoppable body was stopped by the man. In the air, the ripples caused by the battle kept rippling in all directions. However, the strange thing was that those ripples, and even the destructive power that erupted from the battle, were unable to spread at all. They were swallowed and suppressed on the spot by an invisible force. There was no damage to anything in the surroundings at all. The Thousand Demon City is indeed worthy of being a supreme artifact. This scene fell into the eyes of the various sky prides, and their gazes all narrowed. They knew that this was the great destructive power of the supreme artifact in suppressing the battle. Any energy generated from the battle in the city would be directly devoured by the supreme artifact. If you want to be promoted, you'll have to ask if I, Meng Tianqi, agree. Meng Tianqi roared. Golden sound waves rolled toward Mo Yang like tidewater. There are 9 of us from the human clan. Out of the 20 thrones, we want 9 of them. Tai Xian was dressed in a black robe. He held the Taishu treasure mirror in his left hand and the brush of destiny in his right hand. He gave off an ethereal and illusory aura like destiny, which was unfathomable and hard to capture. He casually drew on the treasure mirror and said, "Destiny is supreme, destiny overrides all things. In destiny, the human race deserves the 9 thrones. No power can be reversed." Almost at the same time as his voice fell, a voice rang out. Immediately, a mysterious power of fate descended from the sky and enveloped Mo Yang, Meng Yaro, Ding Dang, Li Qinglian, and the others. In an instant, it broke through all restraints and suddenly appeared on the row of thrones on the right. Tai Xian sat on the first throne on the right. The others followed suit and sat down. In the blink of an eye, 9 thrones were occupied. There was only 1 throne left on the right. In the face of the mighty power of fate, it was as if their fate had long been decided by the master of the unseen world. It was the arrangement of destiny, and it couldn't be changed. Destiny overrode all things. What a king of destiny! The divine eye between Tian Xian's brows shot out a ray of cold light. He waved his hand, and his body flew into the air. In the blink of an eye, he landed on the first throne on the left and sat down. Then, the other sky prides used their techniques to snatch the empty thrones. Under the actions of the 10 major immortal sects, the sky prides of the 100 ancient races didn't fight fiercely. They all used their own techniques to snatch the thrones. Suddenly, the Phoenix Fairy, whose body was shrouded in a layer of strange multicolored light, swayed slightly and landed on a throne. She was so fast that she almost broke through the boundary of space. The Black Tortoise tribe's young master, Xian Zhouxiao. The Kirin tribe's young master, Qi Tianlin. The Winged tribe's Yifeng. The Beast tribe's Meng Tianqi. The Skeleton tribe's Ming Juyo. The Azura tribe's Shura Zhantian. And the Dragon tribe's White Dragon Crown Prince, Aou. In the blink of an eye, 9 thrones were taken. At the same time, a cold and gloomy light suddenly broke through the air and appeared in the Jade Lake. As the dim light dissipated, a cold young girl dressed in black appeared before the various prodigies. She had a cold expression on her face and an ancient lamp on her shoulder. The girl scanned the surroundings as soon as she arrived. Her feet moved lightly, and her entire body seemed to have squeezed into the void. She silently appeared on the last throne on the left. Netherworld Ghost Lamp, Ghost Tribe's life treasure. In the fairy pool, many pairs of eyes instantly landed on the strange ancient lamp on the girl's shoulder. In the lamp, wisps of light flickered. There seemed to be a terrifying force in the lamp that could pull one's soul out of one's body. Although there were many proud sons of heaven, such as the Shadow Clan's Ying Wuxie, who were originally staring at the last throne on the left, when they saw the ancient lamp on the young girl's shoulder, their pupils violently shrank and they forcibly averted their gazes. Then, he disappeared into thin air. When he reappeared, he had already landed on the last throne on the right. In an instant, all 20 thrones were taken. Netherworld Ghost Lamp, the owner of the Ghost Tribe's life treasure, Xian Ming, is also here. All 20 thrones are taken. Ming widened his eyes and quietly watched the progress in the fairy pool. They have taken their seats, but whether they can sit steadily is another matter. Di Shitian didn't plan to head to the fairy pool immediately. He continued to watch unhurriedly and smiled meaningfully. Indeed, it was as Di Shitian had expected. Once all 20 thrones were taken, the various races and humans instinctively started to fight. Meng Tianqi was born in the beast tribe, and his temperament was the most domineering and fiery. His golden eyes swept over the humans and landed on the handsome golden cicada, who was dressed in a golden kasaya. He sneered. "I hate hairless baldies like you the most. You're a baldai. Go home and recite your scriptures. How can you sit here? Get down." The beast's body shook, and suddenly, a golden cloud appeared above its head. The battle axe on its back flew up into the air and chopped down at golden cicada from afar. The golden light of the axe tore through the air. It was as if the sky was splitting open. With an indomitable aura, he wanted to chop golden cicada off the throne with one chop. Amiteus Buddha. When golden cicada saw this, there was no joy or sorrow on his face. His body didn't move, and a golden cloud also appeared above his head, blooming with bright Buddhist light. Countless Sanskrit chants sounded out of nowhere, as if countless Buddhas and Arhats were chanting scriptures and praying. Hearing the Sanskrit chants, he vaguely had the thought of rebelling against Buddha. On the cloud, amidst the Buddhist light, a 24-story golden pagoda floated up and down. Countless golden Buddhist scriptures were densely imprinted on the pagoda. In the pagoda, there seemed to be a mysterious Buddhist world, in which countless Buddhas, Arhats, and Bhikkhus were chanting. Countless golden Buddhist light bloomed. It enveloped the pagoda like a huge golden sun. The axe light struck the pagoda, and the pagoda shook violently. It blocked the axe light in a strange way. The surging power instantly spread in all directions. However, the golden cicada sat steadily on the throne. The humans have repeatedly broken their promises and slaughtered the demons. How dare they sit at the demon banquet? They should be banished. A green auspicious cloud appeared above Yifeng's head. Countless terrifying storms continuously swirled above the auspicious cloud. A crystal battle bow flickered with resplendent divine splendor as it was suddenly pulled to its full length. Whoosh! A green battle arrow instantly pierced through the air and shot toward Ji Haoyue of the righteous sect at lightning speed. The arrow contained the true essence of wind. It was unbelievably fast. There is righteousness in heaven and earth, and it is called righteousness. With righteousness in his chest, he opens his mouth and spits out Xinghe. Ji Haoyue's entire body was filled with righteousness. His body trembled, and a snow-white righteous aura instantly rose from the top of his head like a smoke signal. The voices of countless Confucian scholars reading the ancient sages' scriptures continuously spread throughout the jade pool. It was as if the entire jade pool had turned into an academy in an instant, and the students inside were studying. For a moment, strange phenomena occurred in the jade pool. The jade pool itself was the center of attention. As soon as the strange phenomena occurred, it immediately attracted the attention of countless people in the entire demon city. The sky above the jade pool, which was originally shrouded in clouds and mist, suddenly changed. Countless clouds and mist were pushed aside by an invisible force. With a loud bang, countless Sanskrit chants could be heard. A huge golden pagoda spun and shot out endless Buddhist light. A golden battle axe cleaved toward the pagoda as if it was splitting heaven and earth. Look, the immortality peach banquet is indeed not as peaceful as we thought. There must be a fierce battle inside. Could this 24-story pagoda be made by the Thunder Temple's golden cicada? Legend has it that the Thunder Temple has a supreme treasure, the heavenly demon subduing pagoda. It has the magical power to suppress demons, and it can evolve into 24 worlds inside. What a terrifying battle axe. Every strike has the trajectory of splitting heaven and earth. Destroying heaven and earth, this is the beast race's heaven-splitting battle art. Could it be that the beast race's Meng Tianqi and golden cicada are fighting? All kinds of strange phenomena appeared in the sky above the jade pool, and it instantly stimulated countless cultivators in the city to discuss and watch excitedly. Although they could not enter the jade pool, they could still see the fierce battle inside. From the strange phenomena, it was not difficult to guess who was fighting who. Boom. Following that, the clouds and mist churned, and countless white auspicious clouds with righteous yang qi shot into the sky like smoke signals. Under this strong aura of righteousness, all external evils melted away like snow and water. It exuded the righteous Tao. A golden iron alchemy scroll shone brightly with divine light, and countless figures of Confucian scholars appeared on it. They recited the words of the sage, and every word was like the truth of heaven and earth, stirring up the heavenly Tao. A green battle arrow appeared in front of the iron alchemy scroll, but it was blocked by the countless golden words inside. Boom. Boom. Auspicious clouds rose one after another in an instant. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author, and I support the original readers. Chapter 873. Damn, I'm really sick. I'm in a bad state. I'm so depressed. Look, another auspicious cloud has appeared. The cloud is green in color and there is a green lotus on top of it. The green lotus has a very dense sword energy. This is the supreme technique of Heavenly Sword Valley, the green lotus sword song. Could it be that Li Qinglian has taken action? A green auspicious cloud followed closely behind and soared into the sky. The auspicious cloud exuded a noble and pure aura. A huge green lotus floated on the auspicious cloud and spun around. Countless green lotus sword chi transformed into green lotus petals and revolved around the green lotus, displaying the power of birth and destruction. Praises for the lotus kept bursting out from the green lotus. Oh my God, this is the battle between the prodigies of the ancient 100 clans and the direct disciples of the 10 great immortal sects. I didn't expect to be able to witness such an exciting battle even if I can't enter the jade pool. Now that 3 of the 10 great immortal sects have taken action, I'm afraid the ancient 100 clans will take action as well. Outside the jade pool, countless cultivators looked up at the various strange phenomena that appeared above the jade pool. They were so excited that they didn't even dare to blink, afraid that they would miss an exciting scene. This was a battle that they couldn't see normally. They might be able to comprehend something from it and break through their bottleneck. Sure enough, once they took action, the conflict between the ancient 100 clans and the human race was completely ignited. Back in the ancient era, the ancient 100 clans and the demon race fought against the demon god's invasion together and suffered great losses. Many clans were on the brink of extinction. The human race took advantage of the situation. The ancient 100 clans had no choice but to leave the purple gold mainland and hide in the myriad worlds. They hid from the world. This grudge was naturally remembered by the various clans. Now that they had taken action, there was no longer any restraint. Streaks of auspicious clouds soared into the sky. A dark blue cloud soared into the sky. On the cloud, there was an ancient black tortoise seal. On the seal, black ripples continuously rippled, and the body of a black tortoise appeared within. Thick water vapor condensed on the seal. It had an ancient and heavy aura. That's the Black Tortoise seal, the treasure of the Black Tortoise clan. This is Shen Jiuxiao. Gaga. At this time, another black auspicious cloud appeared. This auspicious cloud was filled with a dense aura of death. It constantly changed, forming countless skulls that let out strange and terrifying cries. A picture scroll appeared on top of the auspicious cloud. In the picture scroll, countless skulls and dead lives were constantly changing, forming a picture of purgatory. It exuded a terrifying aura of death. Even a single glance at it would send chills down one's spine. It was a kind of despair that caused everything to wither. Ming Jiuyo of the Skeleton Clan is indeed a life of death from the underworld. What a terrifying death aura. Could this be the death feast portrait of the Skeleton Clan? As expected of geniuses, every single one of them took out treasures that were hard to find in the world. This time, it's really going to be a fierce battle. Then, a few auspicious clouds rose one after another. A red cloud with a mysterious aura emerged, and a strange red sword stood on top of the cloud. It was Mo Yang. Boom, boom, boom. Almost instantly, 18 auspicious clouds rushed to the sky above Fairy Lake. 9 of them were from the human clan, and the other 9 were from the 100 ancient clans. The geniuses all had their own pride. Although the 100 ancient clans opposed the human clan, they did not rely on numbers to suppress them. For a moment, 9 auspicious clouds on the left and right clashed violently in the sky above Fairy Lake. The stalemate caused the clouds in the sky to churn violently. Kill. 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 Suddenly, a blood-red cloud appeared in the auspicious clouds above Fairy Lake. It was like a terrifying sea of blood. On the sea of blood, a huge blood-red Azura warblade was constantly devouring the boundless murderous aura around it. The war blade was overflowing with a shocking battle intent. It was as if one could see countless asuras crazily killing each other. The war blade instantly became thousands of feet long, completely devouring all the murderous aura around it. Then, it soared into the sky as if it was unsheathed from its scabbard. It drew a strange trajectory in the air and slashed heavily at Mo Yang's auspicious cloud. Suddenly, countless ferocious figures of asuras appeared around the Azura war blade. Those asuras were also holding swords. Together with the swords, they swept toward the red cloud where Mo Yang was like tidewater. Rumble. The scarlet war sword on the auspicious cloud above Mo Yang's head carried a tragic aura. The war sword carried a strong murderous aura, and it also had a kind of charm that described the heavenly Tao. It was as if it was the heart of the heavens and operated the mysteries of the world. The war sword shook, and streaks of scarlet sword light burst out. Each sword light seemed to contain the will of the world and could destroy all things. It collided violently with the Azura war blade. Instantly, countless asuras and sword lights were quickly annihilated. The Azura war blade carried a soaring battle intent as it directly slashed at the war sword. After a short stalemate, the war sword was immediately shattered. That strike seemed to be able to split the world. The auspicious cloud that belonged to Mo Yang was instantly split in half. It dissipated. My God, the Azura clan's shocking battle skill, sky-slashing sword skill. Once the blade is used, it can even split the world. When used to the extreme, it can even kill gods. Shenshin sect's Mo Yang was actually unable to stop sky-slashing sword skill. The Azura clan is indeed a clan born from battle. They are indeed fierce and terrifying. When the All Heavens cultivators saw Azura war sky shatter Mo Yang's auspicious clouds with a single slash of his blade, they were all inwardly shocked. Puff. In the Jade Lake, Mo Yang, who was sitting on the 7th throne on the right, suddenly trembled violently. His face flushed red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. A terrifying force slammed into his body, knocking him off the throne on the spot. What a Azura clan! As expected of a clan that struggles in battle since birth. The sky-slashing sword skill is a peerless battle skill that can slay gods and immortals. This sky-slashing sword skill, if nothing unexpected happens, this sky-slashing sword skill has the potential to challenge the 3 rankings and 1 rank, exclaimed Dark. Alright, the humans have lost face. It's time for us to enter the stage. After all, the Immortality Peach Banquet is a banquet. We can't let them continue like this. Di Shitian said meaningfully. The 20 thrones were only meant to provoke the conflict between the ancient 100 clans and the human race. He had to stop when he was ahead. The immortality peach banquet was in front of him. He didn't want the banquet to turn into a different kind of battle. If he messed up the banquet, the monster race would lose face. Since he had achieved his goal, he didn't want to watch the fire burn across the river. In the Jade Lake, Mo Yang was thrown off the throne. At that moment, Li Qinglian, Tai Xian, and the others were furious. They were all part of the 10 celestial sects and were of the same branch. Mo Yang being thrown off the throne was undoubtedly a loud slap to their faces. Immediately, sparks appeared in their eyes. Faintly, the air was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Clang! Just as the situation was about to explode, a huge ancient bell appeared in the sky above the Jade Lake. Many mystical scrolls appeared on the ancient bell. Around the ancient bell, there were illusions of reincarnation. Countless ancient demonic sounds and prayers from the ancient times gathered to form a mysterious reincarnation sound. The ancient bell seemed to have become the center of the heavens. The ancient bell shook. It let out an ancient reincarnation sound. Circles of pitch-black reincarnation sound waves covered the entire jade pool like a tide. The ancient bell was connected to the ultimate Emperor Jade Archive. With the help of the power of the Demon City, countless ripples appeared in the sky above the jade pool. Those rising auspicious clouds were pushed back at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared. In the Jade Lake, where swords were drawn, a look of shock flashed across the faces of the prodigies. The Demon Emperor's Bell of Heaven's Reincarnation. What a strange sound. It makes me feel like I've fallen into reincarnation. It can even affect my mind. Is this the legendary reincarnation sound? It can actually force all the auspicious clouds back into the body in an instant. Is this the power of the 1,000 Demon City's supreme artifact? All kinds of thoughts flashed through the minds of the prodigies. They were secretly shocked. His Majesty the Demon King and the Demon Empress are about to arrive. No noise in the Jade Lake. Qing Xia's phoenix-like eyes quickly swept across the many guests in the Jade Lake and shouted in a deep voice. There was an inexplicable aura in her voice. Boom, boom, boom. Teams of cold-blood killing guards quickly entered the Jade Lake from the outside. There was a guard every 3 steps and a guard every 5 steps. In the blink of an eye, the entire Jade Lake was guarded like an iron bucket. From the blood-killing guards, a terrifying murderous aura was naturally emitted. It filled the air with an oppressive aura. At the same time, important officials in the 1,000 Demon City entered the Jade Lake one after another. King of Nightmare, Mengshi, Hu, Bai Susu, King of Rock, Tian Kan, Huang Quan, Gord Luzi, Blissful Boy, Xie Sanyang, and so on. They all appeared in the Jade Lake. Welcome, Your Majesty, Empress. All of a sudden, the group of demons bowed respectfully in unison. On the numinous sky throne on the 9-step stairway, Sakura, who wore a black emperor's robe, had already sat upright on the throne since an unknown time. His face emitted awe without being angry, and he emitted a shapeless pressure. The dense emperor's pressure made people not dare to look at him lightly. Beside him, Chen Shi was dressed in a palace robe, graceful and luxurious. She exuded the temperament of a mother. There was no sign of them appearing, and no one noticed. It was as if they had already been sitting on the throne. This scene made the prodigies of the various races feel a chill in their hearts. Greetings, Demon King and Demon Empress. Even the experts sitting on the 20 thrones couldn't help but stand up at the same time and bow slightly to pay their respects. After the ceremony, Di Shitian glanced at the Jade Lake and said, "Since everyone can come to the Jade Lake, you are all distinguished guests. Please take your seats." As soon as he finished speaking, the Immortality Peach Banquet officially began. Maids quickly rushed out from all over the place, holding an archive of fruits, spiritual essences, delicious delicacies, and fine wine in their hands. They were placed in front of each seat. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 874. Every single one of these spirit fruits was a treasure that was hard to come by in the outside world. Jade condensing fruit, purple gold grapes, fire jujubes, and other spirit fruits were served to their respective seats. The wine was the best monkey wine. It was over 1,000 years old. Steaming hot celestial treasures made everyone drool. Regardless of whether they flew in the sky, ran on the ground, or swam in the sea. They were all cooked into pots of celestial treasures that looked, smelled, and tasted celestial treasures. Just a whiff was enough to make one feel refreshed. Even those who could enter the jade pool were all peerless geniuses of the younger generation. When they saw the exquisite celestial treasures with their own eyes, they couldn't help but have the urge to secretly swallow their saliva. When they looked at the crowd of demons again, their gazes had changed. There was a hint of respect. Foundation. Everything in front of them unknowingly displayed the foundation of the demon race. They were definitely not the kind of upstarts that rose up overnight. The celestial treasures in front of them all had to be cultivated with a large amount of time. The celestial treasures that were cooked were filled with traces of reincarnation power. These weren't ordinary celestial treasures, but supreme celestial treasures made from the legendary reincarnation sacred spirit tree's saint spirit fruit. Supreme celestial treasures that even peerless powerhouses would scramble for. Yet, they were served one by one at the Immortality Peach Banquet. Even the Emperor dynasty wouldn't be able to take out such a huge sum. Dragon meat and phoenix livers were things that few dared to take out openly. But the demon race could. Moreover, it wouldn't arouse the hatred of the dragon race or the phoenix race. Because it wasn't their race that was slaughtered, but the fruits of the reincarnation sacred spirit tree. Only the demon race had such a foundation. Otherwise, if other factions or emperor dynasty tried to eat the dragon meat in front of the dragon race, thousands, or even tens of thousands of true dragons would come knocking on the door immediately after eating today. Celestial treasures and celestial treasures were served continuously. A group of beautiful girls dressed in celestial robes quickly appeared in the jade pool. Along with the celestial music, they danced. Their dance was filled with endless beauty. Immortality Peach Banquet, I'll make sure you never forget. The ancient emperor sat in the center of his palace. Before him was a strange ancient mirror. Within the mirror, scenes of the boundless void could be seen, including the 1,000-demon city. Hearing the waves of celestial music that resounded in the city, a faint mocking and cold laughter appeared at the corners of his mouth. He calmly spat out a sentence from his mouth. After saying that, he flicked his finger, and a golden light quickly flew out of the imperial palace. It was as if it was sending a mysterious signal to the outside world. Rumble. At this time, a huge golden island suddenly appeared out of nowhere in the endless void. It collided with the meteors and instantly shattered them. Countless golden dragons emerged from the island and issued sky-shaking roars. As soon as the battle island appeared, it immediately intimidated all directions like a mountain. A boundless pressure spread out from the battle island like a tide and quickly rolled towards the demon city. Countless golden dragon-shaped chi blasted towards the southern heaven gate. The southern heavenly gate unleashed an ancient divine glow on its own, shattering the domineering dragon-shaped force. What's going on? What a loud noise. The demon city seemed to have shaken just now. The ancient city is shaking. Is someone attacking the demon city? This is a supreme artifact. Unless one is a peerless expert, no one can break through this ancient city. Who is challenging the dignity of the demon city? Although the southern heaven's gate had shattered the force in an instant, the resulting explosion was like thousands of claps of thunder in the void. It instantly spread into the 1,000-demon city and entered the ears of countless demons and all heaven's cultivators. They couldn't help but be stunned for a moment before an uproar broke out. They all shifted their gazes from the Naka pool to the endless void. They were secretly discussing who had the guts to attack the heaven gate when the demon race was having their Peaches of Immortality banquet. This was a blatant provocation. In the jade pool, the group of demon race suddenly stood up. Their faces were filled with terrifying anger. Before the banquet could begin, it was directly stopped by this huge roar. Interesting. Indeed, Someone wants to cause trouble during I's Peaches of Immortality banquet. I would like to see who has the guts to do so. Di Shitian's face was expressionless as he spoke calmly. However, the experts in the Jade Pool felt an inexplicable chill in their hearts at the same time. The calmer they were, the more terrifying the anger in their hearts was. Once it exploded, it would be even more terrifying. However, they did not know that everything in front of them was within Di Shitian's expectations. Hihi, lunatic Di, you were right. There is really someone who is not afraid of death and purposely chose to attack during the Peaches of Immortality banquet. However, you can't be careless. Since he knows that you are protected by the Demon City and still dares to attack, he must not be an ordinary killer move. Ming licked his lips excitedly. His eyes shone brightly as he shouted. Whoosh! Di Shitian waved his hand in the air above the Jade Pool. Suddenly, countless ripples appeared in the air like a pool of clear spring water. They quickly formed a huge water mirror, and images appeared in the water mirror. The images of the Southern Heaven Gate and the Endless Void were all recorded in the ancient mirror. The huge Golden Dragon Battle Island appeared in the eyes of the experts in the Jade Pool. Hey! Isn't this the Golden Dragon Battle Island of the Eternal Emperor Dynasty? For it to appear here, could it be that the Eternal Emperor Dynasty is going to fight the demon race to the death? It was the Eternal Emperor Dynasty that attacked. A year ago, the Demon King suppressed the third prince's soul under the 4 heavenly gates, causing Zhu Wuqing to be humiliated and trampled on every day. This trampled on the Eternal Emperor Dynasty's face. It seems like the Eternal Emperor Dynasty is retaliating. Even an Emperor Dynasty emperor would not be able to tolerate such humiliation. The Jade Lake was filled with the elites of the Infinite Worlds. Almost instantly, they recognized that Battle Island in the Endless Void. In the blink of an eye, they had guessed the intentions of the ancient emperor. He was afraid that those who came did not come with good intentions. With the status of the Eternal Emperor Dynasty, he was confident that he could destroy the 1,000 Demon City once he attacked. However, under the orders of the sovereign, he could not attack personally. However, in an instant, it attracted all the gazes of the crowd. Boom! Boom! Light flashed in front of the Southern Heaven Gate. 4 expressionless Blood Massacre generals came to the gate quickly. Behind them, there were 30,000 Blood Massacre guards in neat rows. Pairs of blood-red eyes stared coldly at the Golden Dragon Battle Island that stood in the Endless Void. Streaks of blood-red killing intent burst out from their bodies like tidal waves. It condensed above the army formation, forming terrifying blood-red clouds. The extremely oppressive murderous aura almost crushed the surrounding void inch by inch into fine powder. The demon race is holding a Peaches of Immortality banquet. The Eternal Emperor Dynasty Emperor heard about it and specially ordered me to send a congratulatory gift. Please accept it. At this moment, an old voice came from the Golden Dragon Battle Island. Although the voice sounded weak, it clearly landed in the minds of every demon race and cultivator in the 1,000 Demon City. The moment the voice sounded, a purple gold cage drew a streak of light and broke through the void, quickly appearing less than 10,000 feet away from the Southern Heaven Gate. Boom! The purple gold cage stopped. It appeared in front of the cultivators of the various heavens. The cage was extraordinarily huge. It was over 10,000 feet in size. Every single one of the purple gold iron pillars had countless mysterious runes engraved on them. Each rune seemed to be imprinted with the great Tao and merged with the heavens and earth. They intertwined together to form the most terrifying cage. The cage was like an independent confinement of heaven and earth. Inside the cage, what appeared in front of everyone was a huge ice sculpture. The ice sculpture was vivid and lifelike. One could clearly see that in the huge ice sculpture, there was a strange old man in his 50s, dressed in rags, and with disheveled hair. There was no trace of life on his body, as if he had completely lost his life. He looked like a strange old man who had gone crazy. However, for some reason, there seemed to be a mysterious power on this strange old man. Ever since he appeared, he had attracted the attention of all the people in the world to him. It was like a bright spot in the endless void. What is this? I've heard of this cage before. It was created by the most famous Tianjizi in ancient times. It's a heavenly Tao cage that can imprison peerless experts. It is said that even peerless experts would find it difficult to break out of the cage after entering it. Those who can be imprisoned in the heavenly Tao cage are all peerless experts. But why is it an ice sculpture? Who is sealed in that piece of ice? Not only is he imprisoned in the heavenly Tao cage, but he is also sealed in ice. Could this strange old man be some kind of killing god? But why have I never heard of such a fierce god in the world? Is the Eternal Emperor dynasty planning to use this old man in the cage to deal with Demon City? This can't be a joke, right? This old man might have already died. How can he be a threat? What a joke. The moment the heavenly Tao cage was thrown out, this immediately attracted the attention of countless cultivators in the city of demons. However, when they saw what was inside the cage, they burst into an uproar of mockery. They didn't believe that the frozen old man could break out of Demon City. Smack. However, in the restaurant in the city, the know-it-all and the Demon King, who had been quietly watching the development of the situation, put down their chopsticks at the same time. A wine cup fell on the table subconsciously. The know-it-all's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief for the first time. He stared at the frozen figure in the heavenly Tao cage. He muttered to himself, "Impossible. How can it be him? Didn't they say that this guy had already died? How could he fall into the hands of the Eternal Emperor dynasty and be sealed in ice? If this lunatic is released, I'm afraid there will be big trouble. The Eternal Emperor dynasty must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. If this lunatic is released, the world will be in chaos. I can't take it anymore. I have to see the doctor tomorrow. What I want to do the most now is sleep." Chapter 875. Damn, I have a bad cold. Fortunately, I took some medicine and got a drip. I feel much better. Know-it-all's face no longer had the slightest bit of cynicism. He stared at the heavenly Tao cage with an incomparably solemn expression. Even he showed a cautious expression. It's actually him. This lunatic almost caused chaos in the world back then. The space ruler personally sealed him and sent him into the spacetime fragments, exiling him in the spacetime fragments. Logically speaking, it's impossible for him to come back. How could he fall into the hands of the ancient great emperor and be sent here? Does he really want to cause chaos in the heavens? The demon lord's pupils contracted violently. His gaze on the heavenly Tao cage became abnormally solemn. Back in the ancient times, this old lunatic fought with the heavenly execution. The heavenly execution sword formation forcefully knocked him down from the unparalleled realm to the ancient great emperor and destroyed his immortal body. He was forced to a dead end. In the end, he could only entrust his immortal primordial spirit to the void and merge with the heavenly Tao. Know-it-all shook his head and said sarcastically, "The heavenly Tao is the will of the heavens. A mere immortal primordial spirit is just a drop in the ocean. It would be strange if he didn't go crazy. If he goes crazy, it's hard to control." His heart trembled. Although this old lunatic was knocked down by the heavenly execution sword formation, his cultivation base and combat strength instantly rose to the terrifying peak of the unparalleled realm after entrusting his primordial spirit to the void. Once he went crazy, there were almost no people in the world who could control him. The damage caused was simply immeasurable. The demon lord's expression became a little ugly. He touched the quaint sovereign's token in his hand. He had the sovereign's token. The reason why he could control all the unparalleled experts in the heavens and the unparalleled realm and prevent them from personally attacking was because the sovereign's token had the terrifying power to send down the 5 decay of the heavens. It made those unparalleled experts extremely fearful and didn't dare to overstep their boundaries. It could be said to be a supreme killing weapon. However, against this old lunatic, even the sovereign's token might not be able to do anything to him. Demon Lord, I'm afraid the matter in front of us is no longer something we can control. If possible, we must inform the Demon Lord, Destiny, and space rulers as soon as possible. The know-it-all squinted his eyes, which flickered coldly. I'm afraid it's already too late. The 3 sovereigns ventured deep into the primal chaos one after the other. Unless there's really something that could topple the origin continent, it's impossible for them to return. The demon lord shook his head and said indifferently, "Crack." As the know-it-all and the demon lord were constantly considering countermeasures, they suddenly heard a strange crack from the cage of the heavenly Tao outside the city. In an instant, countless gazes fell on the cage. A tiny crack had appeared on the ice without warning. The crack wasn't large, but in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators, it was like a terrifying signal. "Lunatic Di, I'm afraid you're in trouble." In Nether Prison, Ming, who had witnessed the scene outside, said in a deep voice with a grave expression, "Then who is the one sealed in ice?" Di Shitian had been staring unblinkingly at the ice for a long time. He vaguely sensed a suffocating and dangerous aura from the ice, as if he was an ant facing the entire world. Although the strange old man didn't show any signs of life, his withered body seemed to contain a mighty power that could destroy heaven and earth. That feeling caused the hair on his body to stand on end like needles. Even though he had expected someone to cause trouble at the Peach of Immortality banquet and give the monster race a slap in the face, under the ruler's order, all the Almighties who had reached the peerless realm were not allowed to do anything personally. Therefore, no matter how many schemes there were, they would be useless with the power of the monster city. However, the heavenly Tao cage in front of him made him suspect that someone really wanted to kill him at all costs. "Do you still remember the peerless demon I told you about in the land of exile? The one who uprooted half of Sky Pillar Mountain and refined it into the executing heaven sword? You mean, the one in front of me is that peerless demon? No, could it be the old lunatic who fought with him and left his primordial spirit in the void?" Di Shitian's shock gushed out like a tidal wave. Ever since he heard that an expert really left his primordial spirit in the void in the land of exile, he had engraved it in his heart. Although leaving his primordial spirit in the void could give him unimaginable power in an instant and help him reach the peak of the peerless experts, it came at the price of madness. If he couldn't even retain his consciousness, he would be courting death. However, he didn't expect to face such an irrational lunatic in person today. "Yes, Lunatic Di, you have to be careful. This old lunatic's battle strength is extremely terrifying. Once he goes crazy, no one can control him. His primordial spirit is in the void and connected to the consciousness of the entire world. Even the 5 decay of celestial beings can't fall on him." Nether's fear had reached an extreme level. Although the 5 decay of celestial beings was a sharp sword that hung over the heads of peerless experts, it was because the world that gave birth to them was punishing them for taking away the essence of the world. In order to break away from the world, one had to bear the price of the 5 decay of celestial beings. The more one took from the world, the more terrifying the 5 decay of celestial beings would be. Since the old lunatic's primordial spirit was in the world and merged with the consciousness of the world, it was equivalent to being a part of the world and a puppet of the world. Naturally, the consciousness of the world wouldn't punish its own puppet and the 5 decay of celestial beings couldn't fall on him. Once the old lunatic went crazy, it would be really hard to stop him. Ancient Emperor? Di Shitian also thought of this in the blink of an eye. The ancient emperor was indeed ruthless and vicious. In his heart, he had already committed the name of the ancient emperor to memory. "Go crazy." Di Shitian's eyes flickered with a dangerous light. He reached out to grab Chen Shi's hand and patted it gently. He looked at the ancient mirror in the void again and said coldly, "You'd better not go crazy on me. You're scary when you go crazy, but I'll be even scarier when I go crazy." So what if it was the old lunatic? He wasn't afraid of him. Look, that piece of profound being is starting to crack. Is the weird old man still alive and about to break out? It's the old lunatic. This is going to be troublesome. The experts in the fairy pool were all knowledgeable. Their faces darkened when they thought of the old lunatic's identity. They all looked at the scene outside the southern heavens gate anxiously with a gloomy face. Crack. Crisp cracking sounds rang clearly in the ears of every cultivator in the ancient city. On the ice, tiny cracks spread rapidly in all directions at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths of time, those cracks were like a spider web, densely covering the entire profound ice. Bang! The huge Shen Bing instantly collapsed under a huge force, turning into countless tiny fragments that shot out in all directions. Kill. 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 The frozen Crazy Olay appeared in the cage of the heavenly Tao. His lifeless body suddenly erupted with an immeasurably powerful vitality at an incredible speed. But it disappeared in the blink of an eye. His messy hair fluttered wildly in the wind. He opened his eyes, which were full of turbidity and madness. He unconsciously let out battle cries. He quickly glanced around. That oppressive killing intent immediately pierced deep into the hearts of every cultivator. They were so scared that they almost vomited bile. The expression of slaughter, destruction, and destruction appeared in his eyes. Bang! Seeing the huge heavenly cage outside, the old lunatic's eyes became even crazier. He suddenly blew a breath forward. The airflow wasn't strong, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say that it was weak. But when it reached the heavenly cage, the mysterious runes on the cage were like ashes in an incense burner. They were completely blown away. With a loud bang, the heavenly cage that could imprison peerless experts was torn apart like a shabby thatched cottage. It was completely shattered. Hiss. Witnessing this scene, countless cultivators couldn't help but gasp at the same time. The heavenly cage, this is the heavenly cage that could imprison peerless experts. He blew it away with a breath. Who is this old man? How could he be so terrifying? This lunatic has such a strong killing intent. He's crazy. Will he attack the demon city? They were horrified, and an uncontrollable fear grew in their hearts. Ha ha, old lunatic, hurry up and smash this damn demon city into powder. You were saved by His Majesty from the space-time fragments. Seeing the old lunatic walk out of the heavenly cage, an old shout came from the Golden Dragon Battle Island. At the same time, as if some spell was cast, a golden collar appeared on the old lunatic's head. It was worn on his forehead. Countless mysterious runes appeared on the golden collar and wrapped around his body. Kill. The moment the golden collar appeared on the old lunatic's head, he suddenly turned his head to look at the Golden Dragon Battle Island. His eyes were still crazy. Suddenly, he reached out his hand and flicked the golden collar on his head. Bang! The golden headband was destroyed inch by inch like a piece of rotten wood. In the blink of an eye, it was completely broken into countless pieces. Then, the old lunatic casually slapped the Golden Dragon Battle Island with his palm. A big hand that covered the sky appeared out of thin air above the Golden Dragon Battle Island and slammed heavily on the Battle Island at an astonishing speed. Countless dragon-shaped chi rushed up from the Battle Island, but under the big hand, it was destroyed on the spot. Not even the slightest resistance. It slammed on the Battle Island. Rumble. The Golden Dragon Battle Island, which was tens of thousands of feet in size and had reached the peak of the supreme grade, had countless hideous and terrifying cracks visible to the naked eye. It exploded all of a sudden. Countless fragments shot out crazily in all directions. A huge black hole appeared out of thin air and swallowed countless fragments around. The Golden Dragon Battle Island, which was at the peak of the supreme grade, could even withstand the attack of a peerless expert for a moment. It was completely destroyed in the blink of an eye. This terrifying scene fell into the eyes of the crowd, but it brought about a deathly silence. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidien.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 876. The heavenly Tao cage that could imprison a peerless expert was easily shattered. The Golden Dragon Battle Island that could withstand a brief attack from a peerless expert was smashed into pieces on the spot. The golden hoop used to imprison and control was instantly broken. In the eyes of Crazy Olay, these were just casual attacks. But they contained a terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth. An invisible deterrent force swept across the boundless void from Crazy Olay's body. Clap. Inside the jade pool, a certain heaven's favorite couldn't hold back the shock in his heart. The wine cup in his hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. However, his mind still couldn't recover from the shock. His eyes widened in shock, and he was almost blinded by fear. My God, what a terrifying Crazy Olay. Even the Golden Dragon Battle Island could not withstand his attack and was easily smashed into pieces. This is not something an ordinary peerless expert can do. This attack, this battle strength, is really terrifying. A supreme-level Golden Dragon Battle Island couldn't stop a single slap from him. Can a supreme-level demon city block his attack? He won't let anyone escape from him. Boundless fear grew in his heart. In the face of Crazy Olace's terrifying battle strength, even the All-Heavens cultivators in the demon city were afraid and worried. The scene just now was too terrifying. This old lunatic. Know-it-all suddenly stood up, his eyes flashing with a golden divine radiance. There seemed to be an endless amount of power awakening within his old and decrepit body. His expression was unprecedentedly dignified. He said in a deep voice, "The demon city is the foundation of the demon race. No matter what, he cannot be allowed to destroy it. Demon King, don't blame me for ignoring the ruler's order this time. This is the first time I broke the rules." The moment he stood up, it was as if a terrifying giant was waking up. Kill. 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 You want to kill me, so I will kill all of you. All of you must die. When the crazy old man smashed the Golden Dragon Battle Island with a single palm strike, strange murmurs came from his mouth. His words were somewhat incoherent, and his consciousness was extremely chaotic. Countless thoughts were transmitted from the heaven and earth, causing him to be completely confused. His frenzied eyes quickly landed on the Thousand Demon City. His consciousness seemed to still be lingering in the scene of him fighting against that peerless demon back then. Everything he saw had to be killed. Di Shitian waved his hand and stood up from his throne. Celestial Emperor's chariot. Ang 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 ang. With a shout, 9 domineering and ancient dragon roars came from the 10,000 demon city. They contained a power that could shake one's soul. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire ancient city. Rumble. 9 incomparably huge primordial dragons pulled the Celestial Emperor's chariot that was brimming with Emperor's aura. They quickly streaked across the sky and appeared above the Jade Lake. Indra glanced at Chen Shi and nodded without saying anything. His figure flickered, and when he reappeared, he was already standing on the Celestial Emperor's chariot. Standing on the war chariot, his royal true force was connected to the war chariot. Endless majesty of the Emperor spread out in all directions like a tide, as if an ancient celestial emperor had descended. The Emperor's majesty was so strong that no one could look directly at it. It's the Celestial Emperor's chariot. His Majesty the Demon Emperor is on it. That's great. With His Majesty the Demon Emperor here, that lunatic will definitely be smashed to pieces. The appearance of the Celestial Emperor's chariot immediately made the eyes of the countless demon race in the city turn feverish. In the eyes of the demon race, Di Shitian was an omnipotent god. As long as he took action, any difficulty would be easily solved. The immemorial 9 dragons can form a battle formation. I wonder if they can contend against that old lunatic. The Demon Emperor is only in the ancient heavenly demon realm. If he really rushes out, I'm afraid he won't be able to stop that old lunatic's attack. That lunatic is too terrifying. Even the Celestial Emperor's chariot may not be able to stop him. However, compared to the demon race's fanaticism, the majority of the All-Heavens cultivators did not seem to be optimistic. The old lunatic's previous actions had branded them with an undefeatable fear. Kill. 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 The old lunatic's cold eyes swept across the myriad demon city. He suddenly lifted his foot and was about to step into the city. Caw. Caw. However, right at that moment, a series of hoarse and extremely unpleasant crow cries suddenly sounded from the endless void. That cry was filled with penetrating power, and it immediately covered a large area. Everyone who heard it felt as if their heads were about to be pierced through, and their minds were trembling. Amidst the strange caw, the old lunatic who was about to walk into the myriad demon city stopped and turned his head to look into the distance. At the same time, the strange caw attracted everyone's attention. In the distance, in the endless void, the space distorted out of thin air and was rapidly destroyed. At the same time, a patch of dark clouds gushed out like a tidal wave. In the blink of an eye, they densely covered the endless void. A strong aura of death spread out in all directions. It covered the sky and covered the earth, occupying no less than 100,000 feet in an instant. Within the terrifying dark clouds, black crows of various sizes were frantically flapping their wings. Their cold eyes stared coldly at everyone, as though they were the Grim Reaper waiting to reap their lives. It sent chills down one's spine. There are so many crows and such a strong aura of death. Those eyes make me feel as though I'm already dead. Oh my God, these aren't ordinary crows. Could they be the legendary underworld crows that were born from death? How is that possible? How can there be so many underworld crows? Underworld crows, they're all underworld crows. How many are there? Hundreds of millions, billions, or even tens of billions. Oh my God, shouldn't the underworld crows have long been extinct? Why are there so many of them here? And their numbers are so terrifying. There are so many of them that even a peerless expert would have to avoid them. Could it be that these underworld crows are here for the myriad demon city? Look, what a huge underworld crow king. How can it be so big? It's at least 3,000 feet. Didn't they say that the growth of underworld crows is abnormally slow? Such a huge underworld crow king, how terrifying must it be? Many people screamed at the same time when they saw the underworld crows. Even though the geniuses in the Jade Pool were all geniuses, they couldn't help but turn pale when they saw it. They were filled with fear. Underworld crows. This was a taboo in the world. It was a terrifying life that was born from death. Especially their innate ability, the gaze of the Grim Reaper. This was a terrifying attack that directly damaged the soul. Once it hit, even the soul would be destroyed. It was like the Grim Reaper harvesting souls. Not to mention the ancient giants, they could only choose one between the immortal body and the immortal primordial spirit. They were even more fearful of the underworld crow's attacks. And the peerless experts were also fearful. This was because the gaze of the Grim Reaper ignored all power. It could directly injure the immortal primordial spirit and cause damage to it. One had to know that the immortal primordial spirit was shattered into countless pieces. Even if there was a little bit left, it could be condensed and recovered again. But the gaze of the Grim Reaper could directly smash the primordial spirit fragments into powder and completely annihilate them. Even the immortal primordial spirit couldn't completely resist it. This kind of situation naturally made the underworld crows a taboo in the world. It had been completely destroyed in the ancient times. No one could imagine that there would be such a terrifying and huge group of underworld crows left in the world. Look, who's on the back of the underworld crows? I can sense a demonic aura from her. Could she be a demon? Could it be that an expert from the Yarrow clan has come to rescue us? After the flock of underworld ravens appeared, they immediately flew towards the location of the Thousand Demon City. As they approached, a tall and cold lady wearing colorful scales appeared in front of everyone's eyes. This stirred up another round of discussion. Medusa, Underworld Raven King. Standing on the Celestial Emperor's chariot, Di Shetien could not help but feel a trace of joy. He almost instantly recognized who it was. Croak. The huge Underworld Raven King suddenly let out a hoarse and unpleasant cry. This cry was like some kind of order. Immediately, countless underworld ravens gathered around it. Many pairs of cold eyes stared at Crazy Olay in an instant. Swish. Swish. Strands of invisible power of death burst out of their eyes like tidewaters, sweeping toward Crazy Old Man. Terrifying ripples of death appeared in the void. In the blink of an eye, it covered the old madman. Underworld ravens' innate ability, Death God's Stare. These underworld ravens are attacking Crazy Olay. Death God's Stare is one of the most terrifying abilities in the world. With so many underworld ravens using it at the same time, Crazy Olay will definitely be killed. They are indeed reinforcements. I wonder if Crazy Olay is stronger or these underworld ravens. In the midst of the uproar, a large group of cultivators began to watch the fierce battle in the void excitedly. They were looking forward to Crazy Olay being killed by the Death God's Stare. Roar, roar, roar. Crazy Olay was wrapped in the Death God's Stare. Countless streams of death power rushed into his body and quickly bombarded his immortal primordial spirit. For a moment, Crazy Olay was screaming as his body kept trembling. Suddenly, the entire world around him began to vibrate strangely. In the endless void, the wind and clouds suddenly changed. Countless dark thunderclouds kept flashing, letting out terrifying roars as if the world was facing some kind of terrifying attack. This is not good. Crazy Olay's primordial spirit is connected to the void and merged with the world. The death god's stare is attacking the entire world. Although the underworld ravens are terrifying, they are not enough to kill Crazy Olay. Dark immediately judged. Crazy Olay had left his immortal primordial spirit in the void, causing him to go completely crazy. However, the price he paid was also terrifying. Not only was he not afraid of celestial decay, but his primordial spirit was also protected by the world, making it extremely difficult to attack him. This was also the reason why Crazy Olay was not seriously injured even though he was screaming, "I'll kill you all." Crazy Olay screamed and slapped the underworld ravens with his hand. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidyen.com and read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 877. Crazy Olay's divine soul was bombarded by the death god's gaze. Although he was protected by heaven and earth, the forbidden power of death from the attacks of hundreds of millions or even billions of underworld ravens at the same time caused him to feel a terrible pain in his divine soul. It made him cry out in pain as he stared at the sky full of underworld ravens. In the eyes of a lunatic, even if a dog bit him, he would bite back. He immediately regarded the sky full of underworld ravens as his enemy. Without even thinking, he slapped at the underworld ravens. Caw, 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 caw. The underworld raven king's cold eyes revealed a trace of surprise when he saw that Crazy Olay only cry out in pain under the combined attack of him and his clansmen. He was not afraid of Crazy Olay's attack. He let out a high-pitched, strange cry. Suddenly, the death mist that enveloped the flock of underworld ravens violently rolled. One by one, the underworld ravens opened their mouths and spat out. A mysterious pitch-black skull was spat out from the underworld raven's mouth. As soon as the skull was spat out, it immediately emitted a mysterious light. In the skull's eye sockets, there was a strange light, as if two eyes were blinking, causing people to inexplicably feel a terrifying chill. Under this light, it was as if one's divine soul was inexplicably frozen. Unable to move. The aura of death engulfed one's mind. Every underworld raven spat out a skull from its mouth. After these skulls appeared, they spun and spat out pitch-black death mist. They grew at a speed visible to the naked eye and quickly gathered above the underworld ravens in an instant. Hundreds of millions, billions, or even tens of billions of skulls, under the influence of a mysterious power, quickly gathered together in a strange trajectory. In an instant, they saw. A mysterious ancient tree formed from skulls continuously appeared in the eyes of the all-heavens cultivators. Roots, tree trunk, branches, and leaves. These were all condensing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, a strange tree that was tens of thousands of feet tall and emitted a strong death chi completely gathered together. The strange tree flickered with a faint light. It was the light emitted from the eyes of the skulls. It was like a tree of death. The trunk, branches, and roots of the tree were all made up of skulls of various sizes. After the skulls were formed, the entire tree seemed to have a life of its own. It was a strange life form that was similar to other flowers and trees. Croak. The underworld raven king spat out an incomparably huge crystal skull that was at least a few thousand feet in size. This crystal skull was like the king of all the skulls. As soon as it appeared, it immediately revealed a kind of vast death energy. The crystal skull immediately flew up to the huge tree of death and landed on the top of the ancient tree. It was as bright and mysterious as a crown. The underworld raven king flapped its wings and flew into the crystal skull with Medusa in tow. The large number of underworld ravens in the surroundings also did the same thing. They quickly drilled into the huge tree of death. The countless skulls that made up the ancient tree were their best nests. In less than a blink of an eye, All of the underworld ravens that had originally blotted out the sky had disappeared without a single one remaining. Only a gigantic tree of death stood tall in the endless void. Bang! The palm that the crazy old man threw out turned into a huge hand that covered the sky in the void. Even the palm lines on the hand could be seen clearly. Under the palm, the void was constantly being annihilated inch by inch. It burst forth with a destructive force. It slammed heavily on the tree of death, wanting to directly smash the ancient tree into powder. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. However, the moment the huge hand landed on the ancient tree, the tree of death suddenly turned dark. Hundreds of millions of pitch-black light of death suddenly shot out from the tree of death and gathered to wrap around the entire tree. It was as though the tree had turned into a porcupine in an instant. The vast divine light heavily bombarded the giant hand that covered the sky. Every ray of divine light contained a kind of death energy that could completely destroy everything in the world. It wanted to devour all life. Rumble. The surrounding hundreds of thousands of miles shook violently. The terrifying roar almost made the all-heavens cultivators' ears bleed. The terrifying destructive force swept out in all directions. Large swaths of the void were annihilated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Countless meteorites were crushed into powder by the chaotic force. However, countless pairs of eyes were still fixed on the battlefield. They wanted to know the specific results as soon as possible. With the cultivation of the all-heavens cultivators, it was not difficult to see the scene in the void clearly. However, the scene that fell into their eyes made them gasp involuntarily, their pupils constricting violently. The tree of death was not smashed into powder by the crazy old man's palm. Even the huge hand that covered the sky was destroyed. My goodness, is this a tree or a terrifying treasure? It's made of countless skulls and exudes a strong and terrifying death energy. The tree of death that formed it contains a strange aura of life. Moreover, the underworld ravens were perched on it just now. Could it be the legendary myriad bones devouring tree that was destroyed in ancient times? The legendary tree of utmost evil between heaven and earth. An ominous tree. Even if it's the 10,000 bones devouring soul tree, I've never heard of such a huge one. It's said that in ancient times, the largest one was less than 3,000 jong tall. This one is more than 3,000 jong tall. My goodness, even the crazy old man can't destroy it. It's a supreme treasure of the evil Tao. The old madman had destroyed the Golden Dragon Battle Island with a casual palm strike. They had all seen how powerful that palm strike was. But now, even though the old madman's palm strike was clearly stronger than the old madman's, it was actually unable to destroy the tree of death. The strange light of death was still flickering around the tree. At this moment, some people recognized the true origin of the tree. It could be said to be the tree of utmost evil between heaven and earth. Imprison. It was unknown when Medusa had emerged from the crystal skull. She stood on the treetop, and her bright eyes turned ashen in an instant. A strange power swept across the old lunatic from her eyes. Innate ability, Medusa's eye. In an instant, the crazy old man's body, from his feet to his clothes, rapidly hardened and turned grey at a speed visible to the naked eye. His entire body was strangely turning into a cold stone inch by inch. This kind of petrification would imprison or even petrify one's soul. In less than a moment, the crazy old man had turned into a stone statue. The statue's expression was so lifelike that it looked like it was real. The crazy old man had turned into a stone statue. The ancient emperor is truly vicious indeed. To think that he could even find this old lunatic who was buried long ago. Seems like he truly hates the demon emperor to the core, and wants to borrow the hands of this old lunatic to destroy the 1,000 demon city. Good. 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 It seems that the heavens really want to destroy Di Shitian this time. The ancient great emperor sent us a crazy old man. Our ancestor isn't bad either. He Ming, who was dressed in a murderous middle-aged man, stood on a giant meteorite and watched the battle in the void coldly. He sneered and said, "Open the cage and send it to the southern heaven gate." As soon as he finished speaking, a huge heavenly cage turned into a ray of light and quickly flew toward the southern heaven gate. Furthermore, as it flew through the air, the cage silently opened. Roar. A furious roar came from within the cage. Boom, boom, boom. The meteorites that were shuttling through the surroundings were shattered by the roar. Then, countless terrifying claps of thunder sounded in the void. The roar attracted the attention of countless people in an instant. They could also see the thing locked in the cage. One of them was entirely in the color of primal chaos. On its back, there were countless hexagonal scales that were densely distributed all over its body. Each scale was like the most resplendent jewel in the world. The most frightening thing was that on its back, there were sharp ancient spikes. Each spike was like the sharpest battle sword. There were a total of 9 spikes. They were all different in length, but they looked exceptionally ferocious. It also had a pair of giant wings that were covered with scales. There were 4 sharp claws under its body. Each of its legs was different in color. One was green, one was yellow, one was ice blue, and one was crimson red. There was a sharp-boned spike at the joint of each of its legs. Its head looked like a lion's, but it was more ferocious than a lion. It bared its terrifying fangs. There was also a horn on its head. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Boom, boom, boom. The ferocious beast rushed out of the Heaven Dao cage. It saw the southern heaven gate. It landed on the 30,000 blood-killing guards outside the southern heaven gate. It's a heaven-swallowing beast. I can't believe such a ferocious beast still exists. My goodness, an adult heaven-swallowing beast dares to swallow a peerless expert. It can bite off half of the sky with one bite. Oh my God, he's a foodie. This heaven-swallowing beast is almost an adult. How could it be placed here? It's like giving the Demon King a bad name. They're here to disrupt the Immortality Peach Banquet. Perhaps they want to take the opportunity to break into the Demon City and kill the Demon King. As expected, there are many forces in the dark who don't want to see the rise of the demon race. I'm afraid this is a premeditated attack. They're targeting the Demon King. It was said that the heaven-swallowing beast was a ferocious beast that was born from chaos. Its bloodline was nobler than the other worlds. It was even more powerful and terrifying. It had the ability to swallow the heavens and the earth. No matter what it was, once it swallowed it, it would immediately refine it and fuse it into its body. Its physical defense was extremely strong and terrifying. Heaven-swallowing beast. Di Shitian's celestial emperor's war chariot had already appeared above the southern heaven gate. He sneered when he saw the ferocious beast that had suddenly appeared. It seems like there are many people in this world who don't want to be left out. Do they really think that I can be bullied so easily? He was calm and composed. He was not afraid of the situation in front of him at all. TSK, TSK, TSK. Right at this moment, the space in front of the southern heavenly gate suddenly distorted strangely. Amidst the distortion, 3 masked assassins shrouded in black suddenly appeared. In their hands, they each held a pitch-black slender killing sword, respectively stabbing towards the space between Sakra's eyebrows, heart, and throat. That shocking killing power almost completely solidified the void. Fast. 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 It was an indescribable speed. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com and read more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 878. The speed of the killing sword was so fast that it was almost as fast as the Tao. It was so fast that even divine consciousness could not capture it. The killing power contained in the sword could kill all living things. All the power was concentrated in the sword, and it followed the body like a shadow. Once it exploded, it would be the most terrifying killing sword in the world. In front of the killing sword, it was as if one's divine soul would be completely frozen in an instant. Assassins. He had never seen such terrifying assassins before. They wanted to take Di Shitian's life the moment they attacked. The timing and speed of the 3 assassins' attacks had reached a pinnacle level. First, they took advantage of the fact that everyone's attention was focused on the heaven-devouring beast, and then they attacked while no one was paying attention. This assassination could be said to be perfect. The killing power contained in the sword was enough to kill any expert in the eternal giant realm. Bang! 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 Di Shitian instinctively sensed the aura of death. The three assassins' concealment techniques were so brilliant that it was unimaginable. Even he did not sense it at all. He only felt three terrifying sword lights appear in front of him in an instant. That oppressive killing power actually caused small wounds to appear on his throat and heart. However, the immortal emperor body instinctively operated on its own. 6 indestructible divine rings quickly emerged from his flesh and blood, and a terrifying indestructible will swept towards the three assassins. The immortal god rings, which shone with a glazed purple-gold divine light, appeared in front of the killing sword. Each immortal god ring had the powerful defensive power to withstand an attack from an eternal giant realm expert. But under the killing sword, the 4 immortal god rings crumbled at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ding! 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 The remaining 2 immortal god rings blocked the 3 killing swords. You're courting death. Di Shitian's heart surged with a violent killing intent. He swung his left hand forward and grasped the 3 killing swords tightly in his hand. He clamped down on the 3 assassins' movements. His right hand slapped the 3 assassins. Bang! The assassin at the very front was directly slapped in the face. This slap contained an unimaginable amount of power, and the assassin's head was broken off from his neck. He was sent flying like a rubber ball. His head couldn't withstand the force and exploded into pieces. His left foot landed heavily on the second assassin's chest. Crack! His chest caved in from the kick, and his entire body was smashed into a pile of meat paste by the tyrannical force. Kill! He let out a cold roar. That roar contained the sound waves of a tiger's roar. It swept towards the third assassin. Black blood seeped out of the third assassin's nose, eyes, ears, and mouth. His divine soul was shattered into pieces. The 3 assassins were killed almost instantly. Ding! However, at the instant he killed those 3 assassins, an intense pain suddenly came from Sakra's heart. A pitch-black killing sword had unknowingly broken through the last 2 undying divine rings with lightning speed. A sword silently pierced into Sakra's chest, right in the middle of his heart. His demon body's shocking defense was broken through by the killing sword. Although it was as tough as steel, it still pierced into his heart. Pa! Di Shitian's left hand gripped the terrifying killing sword tightly, allowing it to pierce his palm. His right hand instantly formed an ancient seal. 3,000 godly demons flashed, and a vast amount of godly demon power gathered on the ancient seal. Extreme Emperor Seal, Godly Demon Seal. He flipped his palm and slammed it heavily into the void in front of him. Bang! The void instantly collapsed. A pitch-black assassin appeared in front of him again. The Godly Demon Seal slammed heavily into his chest, and a violent godly demon power poured out and bombarded the assassin's body. Without any surprise, the assassin was smashed into pieces again. Even his divine soul was completely destroyed. You want to assassinate me? If 1 comes, I'll kill 1. If 2 come, I'll kill both. Sakra coldly pulled out the killing sword that was stabbed into his chest. A stream of purplish golden blood spurted out from the wound. However, his valiant demon body immediately burst out with a strong healing power. The killing power on the wound was quickly crushed and refined by the immortal emperor body. The wound was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it was restored to its original state. However, a monstrous rage surged in his heart. Assassins, to use such a despicable method to assassinate. Those factions were really unscrupulous. Damn it, these aren't ordinary assassins. They seem to be using the Dark Shadow assassination technique of the Dark Shadow Elves of the Demon God continent. Fortunately, none of them knew that Madman Di's heart was one of the strongest parts of his body. Even the killing sword can't break it. However, you have to be careful in the future. The mastermind behind these assassins is definitely not simple. It might be related to the Demon God continent. Dark's eyes were also spitting fire. However, it was even more awe-inspiring. To be able to hide so close without being detected, it was definitely not ordinary. It could faintly smell the aura of the demon god. From the moment the assassins appeared to the moment they were killed, it was not even a blink of an eye. However, The series of dazzling killings and the danger within made countless cultivators feel cold in their hearts. They secretly put themselves in the position of the demon emperor. If they were facing such an assassination, would they be able to block it? Would they be able to survive? What a terrifying assassin. That kind of assassination technique is simply terrifying. Once they make a move, I'm afraid most of the ancient powerhouses will fall. However, the truly terrifying one is the demon emperor. Under such a situation where he was unprepared, not only could he block it, but he also killed the assassin so cleanly. The three assassins at the front are probably just bait. The real killer is the last one. It's really terrifying. Even a demon emperor was stabbed without a sound. If it were someone else, they would have been killed immediately. There's actually such a terrifying assassin in the world. Could it be an expert from the Shadow Clan? Di Shitian killed the four assassins cleanly. The scene of the fierce battle replayed in their minds, causing the pairs of eyes that landed on him to be filled with intense fear and apprehension. Roar. At this moment, the violent aura emitted from the heaven-devouring beast became even more intense and terrifying. Even its eyes turned blood-red. All of a sudden, it opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the southern heavenly gate in one gulp. When the mouth opened, it was terrifyingly large. Outside the southern heavenly gate, it suddenly became completely dark and was shrouded in terrifying darkness. Endless devouring power swept towards the 30,000 blood-killing guards standing outside the southern heavenly gate. In the blink of an eye, the darkness retreated. Outside the southern heavenly gate, the 30,000 blood-killing guards who were standing coldly outside had mysteriously disappeared. It was as if they had never existed. Heaven-devouring beast. It swallowed 30,000 blood-killing guards in one gulp. The Bloodkill Guard's astonishing battle prowess had long been well known throughout the universe. Every one of them could be said to be the most terrifying killing tool. However, such a powerful army had been swallowed into the stomach of the heaven-devouring beast in one gulp. This scene caused countless cultivators to tremble uncontrollably. Even the blood-killing guards were swallowed without any resistance. What if it were them? Heaven-devouring beast. Seeing this, Di Shitian's eyes narrowed and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. He stared at the huge heaven-devouring beast. How could his blood-killing guards be so easily swallowed? Crack. At this moment, a crisp cracking sound came from the void. Looking in the direction of the voice, countless terrifying cracks suddenly appeared on the cold stone statue that had been petrified in the void by Medusa's innate ability. Bang! There was a loud boom. Countless stones were shattered and turned into powder. Crazy Ole's combat strength was unparalleled. Although Medusa's petrification was powerful, it couldn't restrain him at all. He broke the divine ability and his crazy eyes instantly swept towards the 10,000 bones devouring tree. He screamed strangely. His right hand suddenly moved quickly, and his 5 fingers pulled out countless strange phantoms. Clang! 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 Around Crazy Ole, countless yuan qi of heaven and earth gathered, and countless terrifying killing forces emerged. Sounds of weapons being unsheathed could be heard in the void. Terrifying weapons emerged one after another like a tide. They surrounded Crazy Ole. Sabers, spears, swords, rods, bows, crossbows, axes, and so on. Between heaven and earth, countless kinds of weapons emerged one after another. As each weapon was waved, the surrounding void was constantly collapsing. They were annihilated inch by inch. They contained endless killing power. This is Crazy Ole's chaotic blade style of the 3 major techniques. I'm afraid that the group of underworld crows won't be able to withstand this move. Although it's crazy to leave his primordial spirit in the void, his combat strength has become many times stronger. Know-it-all looked at Crazy Ole's movements with a dignified expression. He felt a strong pressure. Even though the old lunatic had lost his mind, his battle prowess was truly terrifying. In just a blink of an eye, the chaotic blade style of the 3 major techniques was completely unleashed. One could only see countless types of weapons converging around him like a tide. Every single one of them carried an astonishing amount of killing power. Rumble. as he blasted towards the 10,000 bones devouring tree. Countless weapons gathered together, and each of them constantly drew out terrifying combat skills, forming a terrifying torrent that swept towards the 10,000 bones devouring tree. Chaos. This move took the concept of chaos. It made it impossible for people to effectively resist. The power that erupted from the convergence of countless weapons was enough to crush everything. Croak. Countless underworld crows' hoarse cries were emitted from the 10,000 bones devouring tree. At the same time, it seemed to feel a kind of danger. The entire soul-devouring tree burst out with countless terrifying lights of death. They intertwined together, wrapping the entire tree. All of a sudden, the entire tree transformed into a gigantic crystal skull that was over 1,000,000 feet tall. That crystal skull flowed with a mysterious light. In the huge eyes, pitch-black flames flickered. It kept swaying, as if it was a real life. Caw-caw. In the skull, there was a terrifying strange cry. The skull was constantly moving up and down. All of a sudden, it opened its mouth wide and swallowed the torrent of weapons. Humph. This crazy old man, does he really think that I can't deal with him? Di Shitien's eyes narrowed as he said coldly. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidien.com, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 879. Since you're crazy, I'll let you go completely crazy. I'll let you go crazy as much as you want. Di Shitien was not afraid of going crazy. Those without reason were more likely to be manipulated by their desires. There was no need to expect a crazy person to wake up again. Gaga. The incomparably huge crystal skull suddenly opened its mouth. The skull was filled with a terrifying abyss. It was pitch black, and the torrent of chaotic blades that blotted out the sky and earth were strangely swallowed by the crystal skull on the spot. In the blink of an eye, they were completely swept away. The entire skull only trembled a few times. The light emitted from the skull was still bright and resplendent. The underworld Raven clan was worthy of being a taboo clan in the world. They had incredible abilities. Even the terrifying attack that could turn a great world into dust on the spot could be directly swallowed up. But the skull itself was unharmed. Kill. Kill. I'm going to kill all of you. When Crazy Olay saw this, he was so angry that he jumped up and down. He screamed and shook his head, causing his hair and beard to sway wildly. He was like a child who hated the crystal skull. His mind was full of terrible thoughts of completely destroying it. Humph. Di Shitien stood on the Heavenly Emperor's chariot. Suddenly, a strange power burst out from his body. Vast power of the world gushed out. In the blink of an eye, it burst out in all directions. From the outside world's point of view, a strange purple-gold boundary quickly enveloped Di Shitien, shrouding him in that strange world. Countless mysterious runes flashed on the boundary, exuding a supreme and monstrous aura of desire. They intertwined together, making the boundary unusually strong. Furthermore, the spirit formation instantly spread out like a tide. In an instant, it swept up a large area of the surrounding void. Countless meteorites and spatial fragments entered the spirit formation and immediately disappeared without a trace. It was as if the boundary was a terrifying bottomless abyss. In just a moment, the purple-gold boundary immediately expanded to 300,000 feet and swept Crazy Olay in. This area enveloped in purple gold did not seem to belong to the origin world at all. It was independent of the world. This is the world barrier. The Demon Emperor actually used his inner world to suck that old lunatic in. It seems that he is really going to attack that old lunatic. In the inner world, the Demon Emperor is the supreme god. However, the old madman's combat strength is not to be trifled with. He is comparable to a peerless expert at the pinnacle. He has just reached the ancient celestial demon level and has an inner world. No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to withstand the old madman's attack. You're just trying to quench your thirst. How important is the inner world? It's the key to becoming an unparalleled expert. If it's damaged, who knows how much effort it will take to repair it? Does the demon emperor really think he can suppress the old lunatic? How was that a barrier? It was a world barrier. How sharp were the gazes of the cultivators in the all heavens? They naturally saw this scene. However, no one was optimistic about Sakra. The ferocious might of the old madman was truly too strong. His combat strength was so terrifying that every move he made had the power to destroy the world. An ordinary inner world could not suppress the old madman's sharpness. Kill. 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 When the old madman was sucked into Di Shitian's inner world, the heavenly punishment world, the scenery in front of him changed instantly. In an instant, he appeared in a strange world that was only 30,000 feet in size from the endless void. However, he did not think too much about it. In his eyes, there was still a crazy desire to find the crystal skull. Di Shitian silently appeared in the void of the heavenly punishment world. He glanced at the old madman. Without hesitation, he pointed at the void. Virtual dreamland. Swoosh. The void, which was originally empty, suddenly changed without warning. A strange and variegated picture appeared. The picture itself was just a blank void, but when one looked at it carefully, one would find that the picture was rich and colorful. Everything was the most realistic dream in one's heart. Inside, there were hundreds of desire saint spirits. With the integration of these saint spirits, the virtual dreamland was not only completely filled with the 7 emotions and 6 desires, but also had no flaw. Moreover, its power was even more invulnerable. I'll break you. The old madman looked up at the void. In his eyes, the blank picture immediately changed into the huge crystal skull, countless underworld ravens, and the mysterious 10,000 bones devouring soul tree. Without any hesitation, his eyes lit up. With a flash of his body, he rushed into the virtual illusionary land without any hesitation. As the old madman entered the virtual dreamland, it immediately changed violently. The scene that the old madman had just seen appeared in the void. Countless underworld ravens and innumerable skulls formed a picture of death. The old madman appeared in it. He wailed and slapped out, killing a large number of underworld ravens. But immediately, more appeared. The old madman, who was not clear-headed at all, could not tell whether what was in front of him was real or not. He was immersed in it and kept killing. Rumble. The virtual dreamland was marvelous. Even immortals could not completely abandon the power of desire. As long as there was desire, the virtual dreamland could exert its most terrifying power. However, the old madman was crazily killing in the virtual dreamland. Every strike seemed to be capable of piercing through the entire world. The power that erupted caused the virtual dreamland to tremble violently. The virtual dreamland merged with the whole inner world. It could be called the heavenly Tao of the heavenly punishment world. This tremor caused the whole inner world to shake violently in an instant. Cracks appeared in the void, and there were faint signs that it was about to break. Not good, lunatic emperor. This old lunatic's combat strength is too terrifying. Even in the virtual illusory land, he can still shake the entire world. I'm afraid that the current inner world won't be able to withstand for long before it is shattered. Ming's expression suddenly turned rather unsightly. This inner world was opened by the heavenly punishment divine eye. It was connected to the divine eye and was very stable. Compared to the inner world of ordinary people, it was 10 times, or even 100 times stronger. But even so, it could not withstand the old madman's attack. It was really terrifying. Rumble. At the same time, the changes in the inner world immediately appeared in the outside world. In the endless void, the purple-gold barrier of the heavenly punishment world suddenly trembled violently. Countless mysterious runes on the barrier were crazily moving. Faint cracks appeared, but they healed in an instant. The tremors caused the surrounding void to be annihilated inch by inch. Look, the demon emperor's inner world is indeed unable to withstand the old madman. Cracks are starting to appear. If the inner world is destroyed, it will definitely cause irreparable damage to the demon emperor. His strength will definitely be greatly reduced. This scene fell into the eyes of the all heavens cultivators who were paying attention to the battle. For a moment, the entire ancient city was in an uproar. They were secretly shocked by how terrifying the old madman was. Not good. I'm afraid the demon emperor can't stop that old madman. The know-it-all took a deep breath and said with a solemn expression. Although he knew that Di Shitian must have hidden all kinds of trump cards, in his opinion, it was a mistake to use the inner world to capture the old madman. I'm afraid not. The demon lord shook his head, disagreeing with the know-it-all's opinion. During this period, he had been silently observing Di Shitian. In his opinion, the demon emperor was not the kind of idiot who would take the enemy into his inner world despite knowing that it was impossible and allow his inner world to be destroyed. He must have a certain degree of confidence in doing so. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, in the endless void, the heaven-devouring beast that had swallowed 30,000 blood-killing guards in one gulp suddenly let out a deafening roar. There was a trace of arrogance and anger in that roar. Boom, boom. The heaven-devouring beast, which was already huge, suddenly swelled violently. 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet. In the blink of an eye, it had swelled to a terrifying height of 10,000 feet. 4 clouds appeared under its 4 sharp claws. One was crimson, one was icy blue, one was earthy yellow, and one was green. The violent power of earth, fire, water, and wind emanated from them. They intertwined and instantly exploded with a destructive force. Large swaths of the void were instantly crushed. Every scale on its body was covered with mysterious patterns. However, there was a trace of pain in its expression. Boom, boom, boom. There was suddenly a terrifying roar in its body, as if something was violently hitting its stomach. It was extremely painful. Look at the heaven-devouring beast. It seems to be in pain. Could it be because of the 30,000 blood-killing guards that it swallowed earlier? Could it be that those blood-killing guards were not refined by it? It is said that there is a small piece of chaos in the heaven-devouring beast's body that can twist earth, fire, water, and wind and refine all things in the world. Could it be that even the blood-killing guards can't be refined by it? Bang, bang, bang. There was no time for the all-heavens cultivators to finish their discussion. A series of roars sounded again. Suddenly, a terrifying blood-red divine light that was filled with an aura of annihilation pierced through the heaven-devouring beast's huge body, blasting bloody holes. In an instant, there were tens of thousands of bloody holes in the heaven-devouring beast's body. A large amount of blood spurted out. Boom, boom, boom. Blood-red figures rushed out of those bloody holes. They were the 30,000 blood-killing guards and the 4 blood-killing generals that had been swallowed into the heaven-devouring beast's stomach. Every blood-killing guard exuded a cold murderous aura, and their eyes flickered with a blood-red light. However, looking at their bodies, there were actually countless hideous and terrifying cracks. They were like spiderwebs, scattered all over their bodies like broken glass. They looked extremely terrifying. It seemed as if they would be destroyed at any time. It should be known that although the bloodkill guards were originally soldier spirits, they did not have real bodies. However, after merging with the terracotta soldiers made of divine crystals, they also became a different kind of life form. They also had bodies. If their bodies were damaged, it would also mean that they had suffered a terrible injury. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 880. The chaotic space inside the sky-swallowing beast was filled with terrifying chaotic chi. Any cultivator who had not reached the unparalleled realm would be eroded and assimilated by the chaotic chi when they entered the chaotic space. The chaotic space was the mother of all things and had the terrifying power to erase everything. It was because of this that the sky-swallowing beast had the terrifying ability to frighten countless experts. Together with the 4 origin forces of earth, fire, water, and wind, it was enough to refine everything. However, the bodies of the blood-killing guards were not ordinary. They were cast with superior divine crystals and were immeasurably hard. Together with the soldier soul, their bodies were completely alive. It could also continuously transform, upgrade, and absorb a vast amount of murderous aura. Every one of their bodies was so hard that even ancient giants could not break them. Even if they entered the chaotic space, they could withstand it and would not be immediately refined and eroded. However, looking at the hideous cracks on the bodies of the blood-killing guards, one could still tell how terrifying the sky-swallowing beast was. The blood-killing guards were like this. If it were other experts, there would not even be a trace of them left. The blood-killing guards are so terrifying. They can actually break out of the sky-swallowing beast's body. No wonder it's rumored that the strongest army in the demon city is the 100,000 blood-killing guards that directly belong to the demon emperor. Every one of them has amazing combat strength. Fortunately, there are only 18 blood-killing generals among the 100,000 blood-killing guards. If they can be promoted and become 100,000 blood-killing generals, they will be able to sweep the heavens. Seeing the 30,000 blood-killing guards break out of the sky-swallowing beast's body, the heavenly talents in the fairy pool revealed deep fear. If this group of blood-killing guards, who only knew how to kill, really charged, the destructive power they could cause was simply immeasurable. Rumble. At this moment, the heavenly punishment world that appeared in the endless void trembled violently. Countless cracks constantly appeared on the world barrier. Countless runes collapsed one after another. It was extremely terrifying, as if the whole world was about to be destroyed in an instant. All of a sudden, it attracted a lot of attention. The key to this battle was whether or not they could restrain the crazy old man. The crazy old man must find a way to stop him. If the crazy old man continues to destroy, not only will the virtual illusory land be forcibly broken, but I'm afraid the inner world will also be damaged. Nether said anxiously. Dark, release the Book of Underworld and prepare to merge it with the Divine Eye of Punishment, Di Shitian said without thinking. Fuse now. Hearing this, Dark's eyes shone brightly. He knew that once the Book of Underworld was integrated into the Divine Punishment Divine Eye, there would be 9 pages. Although they were still broken, the Book of Underworld was a top primordial spiritual treasure in the past. There were only 18 pages in total. Now that 9 pages had been integrated into the Divine Punishment Divine Eye, the Divine Punishment Divine Eye would evolve immediately. The original 3 innate divine seals had transformed into 4 innate divine seals. The quality of these innate divine seals was comparable to a supreme-grade innate spiritual treasure, or a top-grade innate spiritual treasure. Although the heavenly punishment divine eyes would become powerful, there would be many restrictions when they were used again. He couldn't use it freely. He did as he pleased. On the contrary, the current heavenly punishment divine eye was the most suitable match for it. But once they fused, it would be like a child carrying a giant axe. Whether it's early or late fusion, we'll have to fuse sooner or later. Instead, I might as well use this breakthrough to strengthen my inner world and imprison that old lunatic, Di Shitian said decisively. There was no hesitation in his expression at all. To suppress that old lunatic, the virtual illusory realm could be said to be the best method. And once he trapped him in the virtual illusory realm, the benefits to him were even more immeasurable. All right. Dark saw that Di Shitian had already made up his mind. He didn't hesitate anymore. He opened his mouth and spat out a pitch-black book. The book was extremely dilapidated, only having 9 pages. But each page was emitting a strange dark power. Looking at the dilapidated Book of the Underworld in front of him, Dark's eyes revealed traces of nostalgia and reluctance. This was its true body. Once it was destroyed and fused, from then on, it would really be inseparable from the heavenly punishment divine eye. I am the soul of the Book of the Underworld. Listen to my command and fuse with the nether prison. Help the heavenly punishment to advance. Dark didn't miss it for long. He stretched out his dragon claw and tapped heavily on the Book of the Underworld. With the ability of the soul of the Book of the Underworld, he ordered the Book of the Underworld to shatter. Bang! It wasn't too difficult. The dilapidated Book of the Underworld immediately shattered at a speed visible to the naked eye. It turned into countless fragments and quickly fell into the entire nether prison. Pieces of fragments kept fusing into the nether prison. The nether prison, which was originally 300,000 feet in size, expanded the moment the Book of the Underworld fused into it. Immediately, The entire 19 layers of the nether prison violently collided and expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. The vast dark power in the Book of the Underworld continued to gather and suddenly rushed into the 19 layers of the nether prison. Countless pitch-black dark power led down threads of mysterious power from the void. They gathered into a ball. It rolled violently. Countless ancient demonic sounds, prayers, chanting, shouting, and beast roars that seemed to come from ancient times. They surged out like a tide. They filled the nether prison. Buzz. The Book of the Underworld was a top-grade innate spirit treasure. The power generated by the fusion was simply immeasurable, but most of it gathered together and condensed into a ball. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it magically evolved into a pitch-black wheel. The wheel was divided into 6 parts, with images of asuras, ghosts, beasts, heavenly men, and other heavenly creatures. It emitted a vast and boundless reincarnation power. It was connected to the entire nether prison. It completely merged with the entire nether prison. As the wheel spun, the entire nether prison seemed to be filled with an aura of perfection. This is the plate of reincarnation. When Nether saw the pitch-black wheel, he was so happy that he almost fainted. His mouth almost couldn't close. He laughed excitedly and said, "Divine item, it's really a divine item. The divine eye of heaven's punishment is so magical that it can even give birth to such a divine item. Now, if any divine soul in the nether prison refuses to obey, it can suppress them with the plate of reincarnation. This is great. The nether prison will be complete again. This is a divine item that even the Book of the Underworld couldn't evolve." Rumble. Countless mysterious runes emerged from the plate of reincarnation, quickly entering the void and merging with the divine eye of heaven's punishment. In the core of the divine eye, 3 mysterious innate divine seals kept spinning. One was the innate Huang Quan divine seal, the other was the innate 5 elements divine seal, and the last was the innate yin-yang divine seal. At this moment, countless runes intertwined and quickly condensed into the innate reincarnation divine seal. At the same time, a vast and mighty force kept filling the nether prison. The 5 elements plate, which was originally in the nether prison, suddenly broke through the void and appeared in the heavenly punishment world, merging into the void. Immediately, the heaven and earth essence energy in the inner world began to divide into the 5 elements. It adjusted the energy of the mountains and rivers. Rumble. The heavenly punishment world and the nether prison were both in the divine eye of heaven's punishment. They were like 2 sides, yin and yang. One was above, and the other was below. But they were merged into one. When the inner world expanded, the nether prison would also expand by 1 foot, and vice versa. For a moment, the heavenly punishment world and the nether prison expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye under the power of the Book of the Underworld. 400,000 feet, 500,000 feet, 600,000 feet. In just a few breaths, the inner world and the nether prison had expanded to a vast area of 100,000 feet in radius. The heavenly punishment world had undergone earth-shaking changes. Countless hills became peaks, puddles became lakes, and large patches of green grass grew rapidly under the innate emu energy. The vast imperial dragon energy fell into the ground and quickly formed huge dragon veins. The inner world was filled with endless innate essence energy. The inner world was suddenly 10 times, 100 times stronger than before. Di Shitian could feel the vast power in the inner world with almost every breath. Kill. 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 I'm going to kill all of you. In the virtual illusory land, Crazy Olay kept murmuring, fighting with countless underworld crows created by the power of desire. Moreover, the power of the virtual illusory land had increased tremendously in an instant. Even if Crazy Olay was inside and attacked wantonly, he could no longer shake the entire inner world. He was still immersed in the illusory land. And this transformation. Also, a strange scene appeared outside the endless void. Look, why are the cracks in the Demon Emperor's inner world no longer appearing? It's expanding. My God, it's so fast. How can this be? I can feel that the Demon Emperor's inner world is getting stronger. How can it be so fast? Has the Demon Emperor been hiding his strength all this time? How can he have such a powerful inner world? The world barrier was rapidly expanding in all directions. It covered a large area under the inner world. In an instant, it had expanded to a vast area of 100,000 feet. On the world barrier, it emitted a powerful and mysterious aura. This sudden turn of events left countless cultivators dumbfounded. Whoosh! The purple-gold barrier disappeared in the same manner as it had appeared. In the void, the celestial emperor's chariot pulled by 9 primordial dragons appeared. Di Shitian was still standing quietly on the chariot. Between his eyebrows, the purple-gold heavenly punishment divine eye had unknowingly opened. In his eyes, there was a kind of indifference that disregarded everything. Occasionally, there were traces of light rippling. Annihilation. Di Shitian looked at the heaven-devouring beast and said coldly, "Divine eye of punishment, annihilation." Whoosh! A dazzling purple-gold divine light shot out from the divine eye. It crossed the boundary of the void and appeared in front of the heaven-devouring beast. It directly bombarded the heaven-devouring beast's head. The divine light contained an endless power of annihilation. It was the boundless power that was generated when the divine eye of punishment was upgraded. The power that erupted was unprecedented. At this moment, it was as if there was only this dazzling divine light in the endless void. Bang! The heaven-devouring beast's strong defense and hard scales were shattered into dust by the annihilation divine light. The heaven-devouring beast's head was smashed into smithereens. Starting from the head, it quickly spread to the rest of the body. It was covered by the divine light. It was annihilated inch by inch. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 881. Raw. The heaven-devouring beast had been severely injured by the Blood Killer Guard's attack and had yet to recover. However, in front of Di Shitian, the one who had given the Blood Killer Guard the Annihilation Divine Light, the Annihilation Divine Light that burst out possessed a terrifying destructive power that could destroy heaven and earth. 4 innate divine restrictions were already as powerful as a top innate spirit treasure. Moreover, this innate spirit treasure was the most terrifying offensive spirit treasure. Under Di Shitian's all-out attack, the heaven-devouring beast covered in the Annihilation Divine Light was annihilated at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, the huge heaven-devouring beast had been blasted to smithereens. Silence. An unimaginable silence spread rapidly in the endless void. Countless all-heavens cultivators in Demon City gaped in shock, unable to close their mouths. From the appearance of the inner world to the mysterious disappearance of Crazy Olay, to the destruction of the heaven-devouring beast on the spot, the inner world. Everything had happened too quickly, too suddenly, too inconceivably. They didn't even have time to react. In the blink of an eye, the crazy old man and the heaven-devouring beast, 2 powerful enemies that could have caused great damage to the Demon City, had been strangely suppressed and annihilated by the Demon Emperor. The crazy old man is gone. Could he really have been suppressed by the Demon Emperor? He's a supreme expert at the pinnacle of the world. He's an existence that can move unhindered across the heavens. How did he do it? The heaven-devouring beast, a primordial fierce beast that could even bite open a supreme divine weapon and swallow it, died at the hands of the Demon Emperor. The Demon Emperor's battle strength is comparable to that of a supreme expert. That divine light is simply terrifying. It's long been rumored that the Demon Emperor is exceptionally talented and has a divine eye of heavenly punishment. This is the supreme divine ability of the Heavenly Punishment clan. Moreover, it seems to be even more miraculous and powerful than the divine eye of the Heavenly Punishment clan. This is a divine ability that defies the natural order. Look, why is there something left where the heaven-devouring beast died? Suddenly, there was a cry of surprise among the waves of discussion. Suddenly, 5 spiritual lights flickered where the heaven-devouring beast had been. They hadn't been completely destroyed by the annihilation divine light. Rich origin energy continuously surged within the spiritual light. The 5 rays of light were all different in color. One had the heaviness of the earth and gave off an earthy yellow light. One had the gentle water vapor and gave off an icy blue light. One had a blazing red light that gave off a fiery red light. Another had a spiritual and elegant light that gave off no direction and gave off a dense green light. The last ray was a strange deathly stillness and gave off a chaotic light. Within the spiritual light, there were 5 pearls the size of longans. It's the worldly spiritual pearl. In the nacre lake, the eyes of all the geniuses lit up. Swish. At the same time, Di-Shitian waved his hand, and with a move of stealing the heavens and exchanging the sun, he instantly grabbed the 5 spirit beads in his hand. When he opened his hand, he saw 5 spirit beads with overwhelming spirit chi. Ha, lunatic Di, your luck is really strong. The heaven-devouring beast is an immemorial ferocious beast that was born in chaos. The power in its body is congenital origin energy. It is a powerful ferocious beast that gathers earth, fire, water, wind, and chaos in its body. When it reaches adulthood, even an unparalleled expert might not be able to control it. Moreover, when faced with a desperate situation, it will often self-destruct. It will detonate the power in its body. It will cause great destruction. It is impossible to let the origin energy in its body gather. At this moment, Ming was entrenched on the reincarnation plate, enjoying the rich reincarnation power. He shouted excitedly, "Only you, lunatic Di, can kill it in one blow and not give it a chance to self-destruct. These 5 spirit beads must be formed from the origin energy in its body. Earth spirit bead, water spirit bead, wind spirit bead, fire spirit bead. The last one must be the most precious chaos bead. It contains the chaos space that originally belonged to the heaven-devouring beast. Heavenly spirit bead." Sakra's eyes couldn't help but brighten up completely. He couldn't help but have the urge to laugh out loud. Heavenly spirit bead. Among the things that he needed the most, this heavenly spirit bead was one of the most important things. Good. I didn't expect that the person who secretly wanted to disrupt my Saturn Peach banquet would actually give I such a rare gift. Heavenly spirit bead. I was thinking about where to find other heavenly spirit beads to upgrade the 7 sins demonic zither. I dozed off and hit the pillow. Thank you. Di-Shitian looked at the void meaningfully. The 7 sins demonic zither was now an upper-grade magic treasure. In the eyes of ordinary people, it was definitely a rare magic treasure. However, the 7 sins was the key to performing the 7 sins divine melody. The higher the grade of the demonic zither, the more powerful the power it could display. Unfortunately, there were 9 kinds of spirit beads in the world. Each of them was born by chance and chance. They had always been extremely rare and could be called divine objects. Now, the 7 sins demonic zither was inlaid with 3 spirit beads, the wood spirit bead, the earth spirit bead, and the gold spirit bead. The origin energy contained in each spirit bead could upgrade the 7 sins once. Previously, Di-Shitian was still thinking about how to get the other spirit beads. He didn't expect this sky-devouring beast to solve the problem that had been troubling him. Of the 4 spirit beads of earth, fire, water, and wind, the 7 sins already has the earth spirit bead. The other 3 can still allow the 7 sins to break through the limits of a magic treasure and upgrade it to an acquired spiritual treasure. It will become a real treasure. Di-Shitian calculated in his heart. With a thought, the celestial samsara bell appeared above his head. From the bell, a black guqin was spat out. On the guqin, there were 9 grooves. 3 of them were already embedded with spirit beads of different colors. He took the green wind bead in his hand and pressed it into the 4th groove. Crack! The wind spirit bead was easily embedded into the body of the guqin. Immediately, the 4th string changed color and turned green. In the string, there was a pure wind origin energy flowing continuously. Countless patterns intertwined with the wind origin energy emerged from the body of the guqin, suffusing with a mysterious color. In the body of the guqin, the vast power of desire seemed to have received some kind of mysterious blessing. It quickly integrated into the body of the guqin, condensing into countless mysterious desire notes that were branded on the body of the guqin. The 7 sins was upgrading to a supreme grade magic treasure. Patter! With a wave of his hand, he took out a psychic jade box and put the remaining 3 spirit beads of heaven and earth and the small chaos bead into the jade box. Caw caw. In the void, the hoarse and unpleasant crow caw pierced every inch of space again. The huge crystal skull disappeared, and the myriad bone-devouring tree appeared again. From the crystal skull on the crown of the tree, the underworld Raven King came out with Medusa. The entire soul-devouring tree seemed to have a life of its own. It quickly moved towards Di Shitian's position. It stopped at a distance of 10,000 feet. I heard that there is a villain who wants to harm the Demon Emperor. The Underworld Raven clan is here to help. When the Underworld Raven King saw Di Shitian standing on the Celestial Emperor's chariot, a strange look appeared in his eyes. He lowered his head slightly and said with a trace of respect. His voice was still hoarse. It sounded quite harsh. However, Di Shitian did not feel disgusted at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "Underworld Raven King, we haven't seen each other for nearly 10 years since we parted ways in the Southern Barbarian. The days of our reunion are still vivid in my mind. You came at the right time. Since you are in the Demon City, this will be your home in the future," he said loudly. There was an inexplicable joy in his heart for the arrival of the Underworld Raven King. Medusa greets the Demon Emperor. Medusa also smiled faintly and bowed slightly to Di Shitian. "No need to be so polite. Let's go. Let's enter the city first. Yuan Zhon, the red-crowned Crane King, and the others are also here. When the time comes, we Demon Kings from the Southern Barbarian will have a good gathering." Di Shitian smiled faintly and nodded to Medusa. He felt warm in his heart. Only the Demon Kings from the Southern Barbarian, who were born from the same root, would rush over to help when they knew that he was in danger. Regardless of whether they helped or not, this friendship was heavy. He had always had a good impression of the demon race from the Southern Barbarian. Without saying much, the group turned and entered the Demon City. The 30,000 Bloodkill guards returned to the Southern Heavenly Gate. They kept circulating the power of slaughter, and their bodies emitted a bloody mist. In the bloody mist, the cracks on their bodies were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, Di Shitian returned to the Jade Pool. However, Medusa and the others did not follow him. Sitting on the throne, Di Shitian calmly scanned the surroundings. Almost half of the peerless geniuses around him did not dare to look at him. After suppressing the old lunatic and killing the heaven-devouring beast, the Emperor's might that overflowed from Di Shitian was too strong. It was so strong that there was an unimaginable pressure spreading in all directions just by sitting on the throne. "Everyone, the Avilders have been eliminated. The Immortality Peach Banquet officially begins. Song and dance, and the Immortality Peaches," Di Shitian ordered. Countless maids quickly walked out with jade archives, each of which contained a bright-colored and attractive Immortality Peach. The sound of drums rang in the surroundings. The dancers trained by the Piaroseong Valley came to the center of the Jade Pool and started to dance. The entire Jade Pool was filled with song and dance. However, after experiencing the previous incident, the peerless geniuses did not have the mood to eat and drink. Even the fine treasure's wine was like chewing wax in their mouths. Di Shitian saw this and smiled faintly. The Immortality Peach Banquet ended without any accidents. After the banquet, the experts of the various races left the Jade Pool. However, they did not immediately leave the Demon City. Instead, they stayed temporarily. After the banquet in the Jade Pool did not end. Instead, it became more lively. The banquet began again. However, this time, there were no other forces attending the banquet. Instead, there were the officials of the Demon City, the generals, and even those who were close to the demon race. The 3 princesses of the dragon race, the Li race's Tu Xing Sun, Tu Ling and the Star race's Xing He. Medusa from the Southern Barbarian, and so on. The banquet in the Demon City truly showed the atmosphere of a banquet. To be continued. If you want to know more, please go to www.chidian.com. I support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 882. Inviting the elites of the various worlds was just to show the foundation of the demon race to the various worlds. Although that kind of banquet was grand, it was perfunctory and hypocritical. It had a purpose. The banquet with the officials of the demon city was the real banquet. There were peaches of immortality, spirit fruits, dragon meat, phoenix liver, bear gallbladder, spirit wine, countless spirit essences, and countless delicacies. Compared to the great immortality peach banquet, the small immortality peach banquet was more lively and filled with a thriving atmosphere. After the banquet, immediately, many of the 100 ancient clans formally visited Di-Shitian, the demon emperor. They sent congratulatory gifts and expressed their friendship, showing their closeness. They all had the tendency to be on good terms with the demon race. Di-Shitian was impatient and summoned them one by one. He did not reject the goodwill of the other clans. For a time, on the surface, the relationship between the 100 ancient clans and the 100 ancient clans was unusually friendly and close. He did not immediately agree to the various clans' request to buy land and build shops in the demon city, but he did not immediately reject them either. He directly handed these matters to Hu and the King of Nightmare to deal with. He also hinted that it was not impossible to make an exception to build shops in the city. However, the price of the land deed was extremely expensive. For a time, the city was in an uproar because of the land deed and the shop. The price of the land deed in the city was different depending on the person. However, the cost of building a shop was definitely unimaginable. I do not object to building a shop, but how can it be possible to build a shop in my demon city without paying a price? The 100 ancient clans have cultivated for so many years and have a rich foundation. Why don't you sponsor the demon race? Di-Shitian murmured meaningfully in his inner world. Lunatic Di, the benefits of this immortality peach banquet are not small. Not only did the spies in the dark fail to steal the chicken, but they also turned dirty. The old lunatic suppressed in the virtual illusory realm is a rare trump card, a great killing weapon. After Di-Shitian finished dealing with most of the matters, he had the time to carefully count and sort out the gains this time. Nether even cried out in excitement. If the heavens were to give it to me, I would only be harmed if I don't accept it. Since the ancient emperor is so generous, how can I not accept it? Di-Shitian laughed coldly. Harvest, not bad. The biggest harvest this time was that seemingly crazy old lunatic. Back then, crazy old man was forced to fuse his primordial spirit with the void and went completely insane. It was truly terrifying. What he wanted to do couldn't be determined with common sense. With the battle prowess of a peerless powerhouse, if he wanted to destroy it, the entire universe would suffer a terrible disaster. However, this fellow's mind was not clear. Di-Shitian's power of desire was his nemesis. In the virtual illusory land, everything would not be fake, but would feel real. Crazy old man's mind was not clear. Once he was trapped, not even the gods could pull him out. And it just so happened that suppressing him in the virtual illusory land was a rare and wonderful move. Imagine if Di-Shitian were to pay a visit to the ancient emperor dynasty in the heaven realm and release crazy old man from the virtual illusory land. With crazy old man's mental state, it would be a disaster for the ancient emperor dynasty. If crazy old man were to be released in the face of a strong enemy, wouldn't the enemy be in trouble? Crazy old man was truly a treasure. With this killing weapon, crazy old man, you're basically in possession of the strongest protective talisman. This crazy old man, well done, well done. If that ancient emperor knew that he had given you such a strong trump card, he would probably puke out blood on the spot. I'm looking forward to his expression when he sees crazy old man Nether stretched out his dragon claws and rubbed his chin, laughing evilly. It would be very interesting if crazy old man was released when Di-Shitian was fighting with the ancient emperor. Sakura took a deep breath and didn't say anything. He quickly immersed his mind into his body and entered the heaven punishment divine eye. He felt the changes between the heaven punishment world and the hell prison in his divine eye and slowly familiarized himself with it. He set his eyes on the pitch-black plate of reincarnation in the nether prison. Since the plate of reincarnation was born, it had been constantly rotating. Streams of reincarnation force revolved around it in a strange way. Both the nether prison and the heavenly punishment world had expanded to a radius of 1 million feet at the same time. As it continued to expand, the nether prison became somewhat spacious. It seems that I should pay attention to collecting more souls and divine souls. It would be a waste if there were no ghosts or prisoners in the nether prison. Di Shitian secretly made up his mind. Catch, catch, catch. The more you catch, the better. Nether was very excited. He licked his lips cruelly. He focused his mind on the divine eye of heavenly punishment. Information kept flowing into his mind, and he quickly absorbed it. When he finished absorbing all the information, he could not help but be overjoyed. The upgrade of the divine eye of heavenly punishment had indeed brought him a new eye technique. The fourth innate divine seal, the innate reincarnation divine seal, was born in the divine eye of heavenly punishment. The birth of this divine seal also gave the divine eye of heavenly punishment another powerful divine ability, reincarnation. Reincarnation, once performed, could connect with the reincarnation force of heaven and earth, open a reincarnation passage, banish the opponent into the reincarnation, and use the reincarnation force to wear down the opponent's divine soul. It could also create a reincarnation dreamland in the consciousness, causing the opponent to fall into the dreamland unknowingly and be reincarnated in the dreamland. In the dreamland, a reincarnation happened in an instant. In the dreamland, if one thought that he had died, then he would really die. This reincarnation divine ability was the most terrifying killing move in the divine eye of heavenly punishment. Great divine ability. After thoroughly comprehending it, Di Shitian could not help but secretly praise it. He was looking forward to the divine eye of heavenly punishment even more. However, the early upgrade had also put a considerable limit on him. The divine eye was already comparable to a top innate spiritual treasure. To perform such a powerful divine eye, it had completely exceeded his cultivation realm. Once performed, it would consume a huge amount of true power. It would also cause great pressure on the monster body and even the divine soul. After all, the divine eye grew on his body. I can only perform it 3 times in a row. After checking this result, Di Shitian took a deep breath. Although he had suppressed Crazy Olay, he had paid a great price. Unable to perform the divine eye of heavenly punishment to his heart's content, had a considerable impact on his combat power. Dark, what is the use of that small chaos bead? After checking his body's condition, the chaos bead appeared in his mind. He had only heard of the 9 great spiritual beads, but he was not clear about the magic of this small chaos bead. He immediately asked. The small chaos bead is condensed from the chaos space in the heaven-swallowing beast's body. There is a small chaos world in it. There are many uses for it. When Dark talked about knowledge and experience, he said continuously, if an ordinary cultivator obtains it, it is most likely to open a small world in the small chaos bead. However, this is only a low-level method. Oh. Di Shitian listened with interest. Moreover, this small chaos bead is extremely hard and can be called a rare treasure. After refining it, one can use its divine power to enter the chaos world. It will not be eroded by the boundless chaos chi. It is a rare treasure. The chaos world was boundless, and the chaos chi was the source of all things. Anything born in it was the most magical treasure in the world, and it was also a part of the innate spiritual treasure. In the vast chaos world, there were countless innate spiritual treasures. If one could enter it, as long as they touched one, it would be enough to benefit them for life. However, the chaos world was the most dangerous place. The chaos chi would riot from time to time, creating chaos storms that were full of destruction. The chaos chi's corrosive nature was not something that the ancient powerhouses could withstand. Once one entered, 1 in 10 might not be able to walk out. However, even so, there were still countless experts who were filled with endless yearning for the chaos. However, this small chaos bead could allow people who had not reached the realm of peerless experts to enter the chaos without being eroded by the chaos chi. This was equivalent to a pass to enter the chaos. It meant that it was a shortcut to becoming an innate spiritual treasure. If the other ancient powerhouses knew about it, they would be so envious that their eyes would turn red. It can enter the chaos. Di Shitian's eyes flashed with light. He immediately realized the preciousness of the small chaos bead. That's right. Dark nodded repeatedly, his eyes shining. However, the biggest use for you is to merge with the Demon City and the Imperial Jade Archive to form the Chaos Great Tao and give birth to the Chaos Treasure Lotus. The small Chaos world will be born in it, allowing the Chaos Chi to be continuously brewed. Then, with the Chaos power, you can temper the Demon City and form the Chaos Runes, which will definitely increase the power of the Demon City. Moreover, it will have a higher chance of advancing to the immortal level. Yes. Di Shitian pondered for a moment after hearing this. He did not continue to dwell on this issue. He suddenly changed the topic and asked, what is the status of the Dark Knight Elves in the Demon God continent? The 4 assassins from before flashed through his mind. Each of the 4 assassins had a terrifying cultivation that was comparable to an ancient powerhouse. The most terrifying thing was their exquisite concealment techniques. Even Di Shitian did not notice them at all. If it were not for the murderous aura they emitted the moment before they attacked, even he would not have been able to react. The most terrifying thing was that the last assassin was a true expert. He did not even reveal a trace of murderous aura when he attacked, yet he was able to break through the immortal divine ring and stab into the heart. If it wasn't him, any other expert would have been assassinated on the spot by such a brilliant method of assassination. He could faintly smell the aura of a demon god from the assassin. He secretly guessed that behind these assassins, it was very likely that the demon god powerhouses lurking in the myriad worlds were behind them. And these assassins were very likely from the Dark Knight Elves. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. I support the author, and I support the original readers. Chapter 883. Vote up if you have a ticket. The Demon God continent had infiltrated the myriad worlds. This was something that Sakura was well aware of. However, in the past tens of thousands of years, how many demon god experts had entered the source continent? Even he could not guess, but he could guess that the demon god clan that had infiltrated the source continent must have gathered an extremely terrifying force after all these years of development. This assassin had the shadow of the demon god continent. His assassination methods were not inferior to the shadow clans. Moreover, he was even more mysterious and his concealment methods were even more brilliant. Combined with their exceptional assassination techniques, it was likely that an ancient overlord realm assassin could assassinate an unparalleled powerhouse realm supreme being. With such a method, how could Sakura not be afraid and not attach importance to it? Investigate. The Demon Guard Intelligence Department must extend our eyes to the myriad worlds. Even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground, we must find the source of the assassin. Find out everything about the assassin. Di Shitian immediately issued an order to Shu Da after the banquet ended. They must find out the origin of the assassin. The Dark Knight Elves are not simple. In the Demon God continent, they are also a superior demon god clan. Together with the Star Elves, they are known as the 2 great elven clans in the demon god continent. They like to live in the dark. Every one of them is born with the ability to conceal themselves and are proficient in assassination. They are natural killers and assassins. Back in the ancient battlefield, the Dark Knight Elf King once assassinated an unparalleled powerhouse with a single strike. His assassination methods are unparalleled in the world. Even the Shadow Clan, who are also proficient in assassination, suffered greatly in the hands of the Dark Knight Elves. Even the Shadow Clan's ancestor, Myriad Shadow Ancestor, was severely injured in an assassination competition with the Dark Knight Elf King. Extremely terrifying. When Nether mentioned the Dark Knight Elf King, even her eyes changed color. There must be powerhouses among the Dark Knight Elves who have infiltrated the myriad worlds. Sakura narrowed his eyes. He didn't even think before he said with certainty. Originally, if you demon gods did not provoke me and buy time for the demon god clan to rise, I might not even care about you and let you fight to the death with the humans. However, since you've provoked me, even if you hide in a rat's hole, I will still make Shu Da and his people dig you out. Di Shitian had always been very vengeful. If others respect me, I will return the favor. If you bully me, I will beat you to death. Madman Di, you can't be reckless. If the Dark Knight elves really enter the myriad world and become enemies with them, you might be fine. However, the officials in my Thousand Demon City may not be able to stop their assassination. Ming was a little afraid that Di Shitian would go crazy because of this and hurriedly tried to persuade him. Ming, where is the Heaven Gate's forbidden land? Di Shitian did not immediately express his opinion. Instead, he suddenly asked about another matter. After 3 days in the inner world, Di Shitian reappeared in the Jade Pool. Little Chaos Bead, fuse with the Myriad Demon City and give I the Great Tao of Chaos. After leaving the inner world, the first thing he did was to take out the Chaos Spiritual Bead. He tossed it into the air. Ding! In the core world of the Thousand Demon City, the incomparably huge Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive was constantly spinning at a constant speed. The surface of the Jade Archive was intertwined with countless mysterious runes. 3,000 Great Tao talismans were constantly emitting strange sounds of the Great Tao. Pages of cultivation techniques flowed and flashed in the talismans, exuding a mysterious power. They were constantly absorbing pure chi of heaven and earth from the void. Among them, there were poison talismans, emperor talismans, gold talismans, wood talismans, water talismans, fire talismans, ice talismans, wind talismans, sin talismans, thunder talismans, and seal talismans. There were a total of 11 Great Tao talismans that were intact and exuded a perfect charm. However, they were still constantly absorbing strands of Dharma fragments from the void. On the surface of the talismans, traces of mysterious Great Tao patterns were intertwined. In the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, there were a few Great Tao talismans that were the most powerful, such as fate, space, time, and power talismans. Although they were incomplete, the aura they exuded was extremely powerful. The Jade Archive trembled all of a sudden and retrieved a chaotic spiritual bead from the void. As soon as the Chaos Spiritual Pearl landed on the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, it immediately dissolved like flowing water and seeped into the Jade Archive. On the surface, countless Chaos Spiritual patterns were intertwined. In the Chaos Spiritual Pearl, it was equivalent to a complete Chaos world. It was filled with Chaos Chi. This meant that it contained a nearly complete Chaos Great Tao. The Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive had long ago fused with a Chaos Beast Egg and formed a Chaos Spiritual Pearl in the Jade Archive. In itself, most of the Chaos Great Tao talismans in the Jade Archive had been completed. However, because the Chaos Beast Egg had not been completely born, the Great Tao inside was not complete. Therefore, it was not completed. However, this time, with the addition of the Great Tao fragments in the Chaos Spiritual Pearl, a Chaos Spiritual Talisman in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive was completed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, it was complete. Complete Chaos Great Tao. At the same time, a Chaos Spiritual Talisman projection flew out of the Jade Archive and landed in an illusory Tao Lotus. In an instant, the illusory Tao Lotus quickly turned into reality and transformed into a Chaos Spiritual Pearl. In the Chaos Spiritual Pearl, countless Chaos Chi surged, forming a small Chaos world. Rumble. Countless chaotic Tao runes quickly appeared in the Demon City. They intertwined and emitted traces of chaotic aura. It was as if the entire Demon City was surrounded by chaos. Haha, look, that void crystal has been completely refined, and the space talisman has been completed. When Ming saw the scene in the Ultimate Emperor Jade Archive, he could not help but be overjoyed. The Demon City was constantly absorbing and plundering large amounts of spatial faults from the void illusory island. From the spatial fragments, they were absorbed and integrated into the space talisman in the Jade Archive, causing the space talisman to be constantly repaired and perfected. There was also the void crystal of the Void Serpent, which contained fragments of space lore that were almost complete. This complete refinement. Immediately, the moment the Chaos Talisman was completed, the Space Talisman also completed and transformed. The entire Demon City began to tremble violently. In the city, 129,600 spatial faults expanded and expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Each space instantly expanded to a radius of 100,000 feet. Inside, The space barrier suddenly became incomparably sturdy and stable. In the ancient city, countless space Tao patterns were intertwined. It made the demon city shake slightly, and it had a strange feeling that it was about to merge with the entire endless void and travel through it. Bang, bang, bang. Di Shitian stepped forward in the void. It was as if there was an invisible staircase under his feet. Every step he took caused invisible ripples to ripple. He quickly walked to the sky above the demon city. The two great Tao talismans were completed in succession, causing the demon city to tremble continuously. The carnate essence qi in the city became denser and denser. The group of demons and cultivators who had sensed all this were originally surprised. At this moment, they saw Di Shitian step by step into the void. They could not help but look up and place their gazes on him. Brothers of the demon race, I declare that the demon race, from today onwards, will return to the purple gold mainland. Di Shitian looked around, and his face naturally revealed an invisible majesty. Every word and sentence was filled with firm determination. Every word clearly fell into the ears of every living creature in the entire demon city. Swoosh! The eyes of the countless demon race clansmen suddenly lit up with burning flames. They burst forth with endless yearning. The purple gold mainland. The purple gold mainland was the center of the heavens and the birthplace of countless races. It was the origin of all races and the ancestral land that countless demons yearned for. Every demon was eagerly awaiting the day they returned to the purple gold mainland. However, since the decline of the demon race, the purple gold mainland had become the world of the human race. The demon race had been reduced to a miserable state where everyone wanted to beat them up and they were constantly being persecuted. There was almost no hope for them to return. Even though the demon race was scattered in the heavens, they had never given up on the purple gold mainland. Now that the demon race had gathered under Di Shitian, not only did they have a place to rest and recuperate, but they were also becoming stronger all the time. Their desire to return to the purple gold mainland was even stronger. The purple gold mainland was the ancestral land that the ancestors of the demon race had protected with their lives. Return, return, return. After a moment of dead silence, immediately, thunderous shouts soared into the sky like a tide, shaking the entire ancient city. Flames flickered in the eyes of every demon. The shouts completely revealed the inner thoughts of the demon race. The 100 races have returned. The demon race will be the leader. Today, the demon race officially returns to the purple gold mainland. Di Shitian said slowly. His voice had an unimaginable penetrating power, and it quickly spread to the heavens and the heavens. Rumble. The vast ancient city that was originally floating in the sky above the void illusory island suddenly shot out a dazzling 7-colored divine radiance. It shook violently, and the surrounding void shattered at a speed that could be seen with the naked eye. Even the void illusory island could not help but tremble violently. A huge crack appeared in the endless void. The 1,000-demon city carried a majestic aura as it fiercely and domineeringly burrowed into the crack. The purple gold mainland. It was vast and boundless. As for how big it was exactly, even the most powerful people could not say clearly. No one could measure its size at all. There were countless mountain ranges that hid countless secrets and mysteries. There were vast seas, countless lakes, and large plains. And on the countless fertile lands, there were countless human countries. There were so many that it was almost impossible to count them. Even a small country had a population of more than 100 million. It was a scene of prosperity, with the human race as the main character. The purple gold mainland was the center of the heavens and the heavens and the heavens. It had always been calm and peaceful. There were no disturbances. Right at this moment, the space above the entire continent began to distort at a rate visible to the naked eye. Countless pitch-black clouds began to converge from all directions. Within the black clouds, streaks of thunder sounded like raindrops. The entire world turned from a sunny day to pitch black in the blink of an eye. To be continued. If you want to know what happens next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 884. The sky and the void turned from day to night. Countless terrifying thunderbolts flashed in the void, shuttling back and forth, intertwining and colliding with each other, erupting with shocking roars. A vast pressure instantly engulfed the entire sky and earth. This sudden phenomenon caused countless humans and living beings on the purple gold mainland to fall into a state of shock and panic. The pressure that was emitted from the void made countless ordinary people feel as if the end of the world had suddenly arrived. The world was collapsing and the world was collapsing. Oh my God, what's going on? Why did the sky suddenly turn dark? And there are so many terrifying thunderbolts. Could it be that the sky and earth are collapsing, and a great calamity is descending? It's over. Tao ancestors and Buddhist ancestors, could it be that some evil is descending? It's so scary. What's going on? In countless human countries, countless ordinary people raised their heads to look. Their eyes were filled with intense fear. They were so afraid that even their bodies were trembling non-stop, and their lips were turning black. They were so frightened by the strange phenomenon that appeared in the void that they almost fainted. Many humans even screamed and ran quickly, burrowing into their houses and hiding under their beds. However, there were even more immortal cultivators who couldn't help but reveal a worried and fearful expression after witnessing this scene. They were above ordinary people, but they knew even more clearly how powerful it was to create such a terrifying omen in the sky. Rumble. In the darkness, the dark clouds churned violently. Suddenly, a terrifying crack appeared in the clouds. It formed a huge vortex, and within the vortex, countless seven-colored divine radiance shot out in all directions like a tidal wave. In the pitch-black purple-gold continent, it was simply like a resplendent seven-colored sun. It attracted countless gazes. In the seven-colored divine radiance, a vast pressure came crashing down in all directions like a tidal wave. Everywhere it went, countless humans and living beings felt as if there was an extremely heavy mountain on top of their heads. Boom, boom, boom. The pressure made countless people kneel on the ground. Countless living beings couldn't help but lie on the ground. They couldn't stop trembling. It was as if they were looking at the most supreme king in their hearts. Even countless immortal cultivators were drenched in cold sweat. It rained down. Amidst the seven-colored divine radiance, an incomparably vast ancient city broke through the air and appeared in the sky above the purple gold continent. At a glance, there was no end in sight. For huge heavenly gates exuded a vast divine might. It was like the ancient heavenly court. It was incomparably noble. The majesty of a supreme artifact would shock the hearts of ordinary people the moment they saw it. They would involuntarily feel reverence. Di Shitian stood in the sky above Thousand Demon City. His eyes slowly scanned his surroundings. As the scenery entered his eyes, an indescribable sense of familiarity reverberated in his chest. It was the feeling of returning home. Taking a deep breath of the air that belonged to the purple gold continent, he stretched out his hands and made a gesture of hugging. Purple gold continent, we, the demon clan, have returned. This sentence entered the ears of countless living beings on the purple gold continent. Purple gold continent, we, the demon clan, have returned. In the ancient city, countless demons hugged each other. They were so excited that tears welled up in their eyes as they cheered madly. Billions of cries converged into a torrent that swept across a huge area. This was the cry that countless ancestors of the demon clan let out from their bloodline. It had the power to shake one's soul. Rumble. Countless humans were so frightened that they fell to the ground the moment they heard it. Their faces were pale with fright. Countless immortal cultivators only felt that countless lightning bolts were crazily bombarding their souls in their heads. Bombarding their souls. Pairs of horrified eyes stared fixedly at the boundless Thousand Demon City. Demon clan, they had always been bullied and slaughtered wantonly by immortal cultivators without any ability to resist. They were used as stepping stones for immortal cultivators to level up. The demon clan that was almost extinct in the purple gold continent had actually returned. They had returned to the purple gold continent. Moreover, the commotion they had caused was actually so huge and terrifying. Impossible. How can it be? How can it be the demon clan? Hasn't the demon clan already declined? How can they return to the purple gold continent? The purple gold continent belongs to us, the human clan. Some immortal cultivators simply did not believe that the demon clan would rise up one day. They simply could not accept it and shouted in disbelief. What a terrifying ancient city! How can the demon clan have such a powerful ancient city? It's fake. It must be fake. This is just a scam. It's an illusion. The demon clan is bluffing. The demon clan has already declined. We, the human clan, are the main characters of the world. Why would the demon clan come back? Countless radical immortal cultivators roared crazily. Kill them. The demon clan is the fat meat in the mouth of us immortal cultivators. They are our stepping stones. They are our powerful food. This is fake. Kill them. Kill the demon clan. Kill the demon clan. Immortal cultivators. The human clan occupied the purple gold continent. The huge population caused countless amazing geniuses to emerge from the human clan. All of them were proud of being part of the human clan. They had always thought that the human clan was the only main character in the world. They were proud and arrogant. Now that they heard that the demon clan had returned to the purple gold continent, countless blazing flames appeared in their chests. Anger surged into their minds. In their minds, they did not think that the demon clan had any chance to rise up. For tens of thousands of years, the demon race had always been the weak race in their minds. Kill the demon clan. Ting, ting, ting. On the purple gold continent, countless powerful immortal cultivators soared into the sky, stepping on dazzling divine lights. Countless flying swords and dharma treasures erupted with dazzling divine light. Millions of human cultivators, including many immortal lords and immortal emperors, attacked with all kinds of dharma treasures, causing the void to tremble. With destructive power, they blasted toward the demon city. The demon clan was driven out by the human clan. Today, we have returned. We will pave the way with the blood of the human clan. Di Shitian looked at the group of reckless human cultivators and sneered. Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise legions, kill this group of reckless human cultivators for I boom, boom, boom. The legions in neat formations charged out of the southern heaven gate coldly. Each of them exuded a strong murderous aura. The 4 legions came out in full force. Each of the demon soldiers in the legions had the powerful combat strength of a peak ancient demon. As soon as they charged out of the ancient city, they immediately charged toward the human cultivators in the sky. Crack! An immortal emperor sword was cut in half by Kai Hua's saber. Blood instantly dyed the sky red. Each of the 4 legions had crawled out from the corpses of countless ferocious beasts in the land of exile. Each of them had rich combat experience and were not afraid of death. The moment they attacked, they used a surekill move. Each slash killed, and each spear killed an immortal. In just one confrontation, the 4 legions did not even set up a battle formation. The legions killed the enemies on their own. In an instant, millions of human cultivators died on the spot. In the sky, it rained blood. Kill. In just a few breaths. The millions of human cultivators who rushed toward the demon city were completely slaughtered by the 4 legions. Those who offend the demon clan will be killed no matter how far away they are. Di Shitian glanced at the continent coldly. With a wave of his hand, the 4 legions returned to the demon city. With a rumble, the entire ancient city broke through the sky at a speed visible to the naked eye and was bathed in the blood rain. In the sky, they rushed toward the direction of the southern wilderness. Wherever they passed, the huge ancient city attracted the attention of all the world. The scene of the demon clan slaughtering millions of human cultivators shocked countless immortal cultivation sects. They didn't feel any obstruction at all. They just shouted crazily in their hearts. How is it possible? How can the demon clan have such a powerful legion? How can the demon soldiers be so powerful that they can even kill immortal emperors and immortal monarchs? Slaughter. Is this still the demon clan that we slaughtered under our feet? The demon clan has really returned, and they have such a powerful combat strength. Scourge, the demon clan is indeed the scourge of our human race. With thunderous and bloody means, they paved the path of the demon clan's return with blood. Half a day later, the demon city appeared in the sky above the southern wilderness, standing in the void, no longer moving. Obviously, the southern wilderness was the gathering place of the demon clan in the future. As soon as the demon clan returned, their momentum almost shook the heavens. The ancient 100 clans that had been hidden for thousands of years were even more restless and actively preparing. The 10-year period was almost up, and the day of return was just around the corner. The return of the demon clan undoubtedly pulled the curtain on the return of the 100 clans. With the return of the demon clan, and after the southern wilderness stopped moving. Around the southern wilderness, countless spies secretly paid attention to every move of the demon city. A large amount of information was constantly spread in all directions. And just 3 days after the return of the demon clan, 9 primordial fierce dragons pulled the celestial emperor's chariot and left the demon city without any concealment. Following them were 3 blood-killing generals and 30,000 blood-killing guards. There was also a large number of demon clan experts accompanying them. They left the ancient city in a mighty manner. The demon emperor left the demon city with the blood-killing guards and a large number of experts of the demon clan. Where are they going? Are they going to conquer some force? The place where the demon emperor is going seems to be the Tower of Babel. They are going straight to the Tower of Babel. There are countless savage beasts in the Tower of Babel. Is the demon emperor going to hunt savage beasts? The celestial emperor's chariot set off. Such an obvious move couldn't be hidden from the spies of the myriad worlds at all. All of a sudden, all kinds of information spread in the myriad worlds. The place where the chariot was going was too obvious. It was going straight to the Tower of Babel. With Di Shitian's current status, every move could affect the hearts of the myriad worlds. With this move, countless eyes fell on the Tower of Babel. Faintly, they began to guess what Di Shitian's purpose was. For a time, all attention fell on the celestial emperor's chariot. At this time, in a mountain range in the north of the purple gold continent, a young man in black was quickly flying forward. On his shoulder stood a strange bird with 3 bright divine feathers on its back. He was constantly shuttling through the dense mountain forest. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 886. I will never go back on my words. Brothers, please keep your monthly votes. Father, aren't we going to the heaven-reaching tower? The Emperor Phoenix bird tilted its little head, its lively eyes carrying a trace of puzzlement as it asked in Sakra's ear with a clear voice. We are going to the heaven-reaching tower, but not now. The place we are going to this time is the forbidden area of the heavenly gate. There are many restrictions inside. You must not leave my side at that time. Once we get separated, I'm afraid there will be danger. Sakra said calmly as he extended his hand to gently stroke her head a few times. He was very close to her. With the Celestial Emperor's war chariot, Di Shitian no longer treated her as a mount. Di Yuer had his blood in her, so it was not an exaggeration to say that she was his biological daughter. It was a pity that savage beasts could not transform. However, during this period of cultivation in the demon city, Di Yuer's combat strength had reached the level of an ancient demon saint. If she had the 3 divine feathers behind her, she could even fight against an ancient heavenly demon. In the world of savage beasts, they were divided into savage beasts, savage beast kings, savage beast emperors, and savage beast emperors. Di Shitian had spared no effort in nurturing Di Yuer. Her combat strength had long surpassed her biological parents and reached the level of an emperor. If she entered the heaven-reaching tower and released her aura, all savage beasts below the level of an emperor would be suppressed. Among savage beasts, the hierarchy was very strict and could not be surpassed. Yes, father. Di Yuer was very excited to be able to go out with Di Shitian. She rubbed her head against his neck affectionately. Lunatic Di, The Heaven's Gate forbidden grounds are no ordinary dangerous grounds. The name of the 9 great forbidden grounds is not just for show. This time, when you go to the forbidden grounds, do you really have the confidence to obtain the real 4 Heaven's Gates? Each of the gates of heaven is a top innate spiritual treasure. Together, they can be called innate ultimate treasures. If you can't get them and end up trapped, it will be even more terrifying than the land of exile. You will be completely lost and will never be able to find your way back. Ming said with an extremely solemn expression in Lin Fan's mind. Although the demon city has been promoted to the sovereign level, it is still inferior to the country of eternity and the 1,000 green lotus sword. The 4 gates of heaven are the gates of the entire ancient city. If a peerless expert were to come, the fake gates of heaven would not be able to withstand his attack. If the fake gates of heaven were to be destroyed, it would be a complete disgrace to the demon clan. Only by obtaining the true 4 gates of heaven, with the power of each gate of heaven as a top-grade innate spiritual treasure, could the demon city be as stable as a rock. He no longer had any worries. No matter what, I must go to the forbidden grounds of the Heaven Gate. How could Di Shitian not know how terrifying the 9 great forbidden lands were? Back in the Godsfall Abyss, he had seen with his own eyes how a heaven-rank soldier soul could easily pierce through an eternal kingdom. The other forbidden lands that were on par with it were all equally dangerous. Even peerless experts were unable to clearly explore the situation inside. However, he was determined to obtain the 4 gates of heaven. If the peerless divine city did not have the true 4 gates of heaven guarding it, how could it suppress the heavens and realms? That's right. The place Di Shitian was rushing to was one of the legendary 9 great forbidden lands, the Forbidden Lands of Heaven. After returning to the Purple Gold mainland, Di Shitian had 2 most important things in front of him. One was to enter the heaven-reaching tower, find the Tianpeng mystic realm, and obtain the demon summoning banner. With the power of the demon summoning banner, he would gather the destiny of the demon clan and establish the demon court. He would officially proclaim himself emperor and confer titles to his officials. He would clear the name of the demon clan. The second was to enter the forbidden grounds of the Heaven Gate and find the 4 gates of heaven. He would truly forge the demon city into the strongest divine city that would never be broken. He would allow the demon clan to recuperate without any worries. Both of these things were equally important. Both of them involved the legacy of the demon clan for thousands of years. Moreover, both of them were extremely urgent. The return of the demon clan would definitely stimulate the ancient 100 clans. The return of the 100 clans was just a moment away. The reopening of the 3 lists and 1 chart was foreseeable to cause the entire Purple Gold mainland to be filled with smoke and endless slaughter. Once that was the case, in order to occupy the places above, even the Sovereign's order might not be able to restrain those peerless powerhouses. If they really came knocking on the door, with the ability of the fake gates of heaven, they might not be able to stop them. For this reason, even the southern barbarians did not have time to investigate. They directly divided their forces into 2 places, using the Celestial Emperor's chariot to attract the attention of all the heavens and realms, diverting all their attention to the heaven-reaching tower. The chariot was empty, but it left the demon city secretly and quietly, rushing towards the north of the Purple Gold mainland. Along the way, no one knew that Di Shitian was not in the Celestial Emperor's chariot at all. He secretly went to the forbidden grounds of the Heaven Gate. With Di Shitian's speed, it took half a month before he stopped on a mountain peak in the extreme north. The mountain peak under his feet was tens of thousands of feet tall, soaring into the sky. Snow-white clouds fluttered enchantingly in the middle of the mountain. Towering ancient trees grew healthily, and the entire mountain peak was like a tall and unyielding backbone. It had an ancient charm of the mountain soul. Di Shitian stood at the peak of the mountain and looked into the distance. He saw that in the distance, there was actually a huge sea of fog. The sea of fog was filled with countless snow-white clouds and mist, enveloping a large area in clouds and mist. Waves of violent astral winds blew above the clouds and mist and landed in the sea of fog. It only caused the sea of fog to ripple slightly. After rolling a few times, countless astral winds were swept into the sea of fog and disappeared. There was no sign of the sea of fog dissipating at all. At a glance, one could not see the end of it. The clouds and mist in the sea of fog fluttered, faintly, some strange, constantly changing shape, condensing into ancient gates of heaven. However, in the blink of an eye, they would collapse and turn back into clouds and mist. In front of the sea of fog, there was an incomparably huge stone tablet. On the tablet, there were only 4 blood-red ancient seals: Heaven Gate, Forbidden Ground. Delusion Breaker. A purple-gold divine light flashed between Di Shitian's eyebrows, and the power of Delusion Breaker instantly condensed in his eyes. His divine eye opened and looked into the clouds and mist. The Delusion Breaker eye could see through all illusions and point to the truth. The scenery in his eyes changed as he looked into the sea of fog. In his eyes, there were many gates of heaven. Those gates of heaven were incomparably mysterious, and in each of them, there seemed to be an incomparably magical world. In each gate of heaven, there seemed to be the most vast space. Countless identical gates of heaven were in front of his eyes. In an instant, he saw through thousands of gates of heaven, but in front of him, the gates of heaven seemed to be endless. It was impossible to see through all the gates of heaven and see the essence of the Heaven Gate Forbidden Grounds. What a strange Heaven's Gate forbidden area. Behind every Heaven's Gate, there's a strange world and space. Moreover, each gate of heaven is exactly the same. Once trapped, there is no way to find the way out. With the power of his divine eye, Di Shitian was still frightened. The space behind some of the gates of heaven was simply a fatal trap. There were terrible disasters. Once trapped, one would immediately be seriously injured and die on the spot. Behind some gates of heaven, there was a rich and precious land with all kinds of spiritual essence and treasures. Once in, one would obtain great benefits and a lot of wealth. Bang! Suddenly, in those gates of heaven, there was a hidden power that suddenly blocked the delusion breaker power of the heaven's punishment divine eye outside the gates of heaven. The vision in the eyes became strangely blurry. All the images collapsed in an instant. At the last moment, he saw that the gates of heaven in the sea of fog changed their positions at the same time. It was suddenly disrupted. This is the interference of the real 4 gates of heaven. Di Shitian withdrew his divine eye and couldn't help but marvel. These 4 gates of heaven were really amazing. Even the heaven's punishment divine eye couldn't see through the sea of fog and blocked the prying. Crazy Emperor, each of the 9 great forbidden grounds of heaven and earth has a terrible power that can bury peerless experts. This Heaven Gate Forbidden Ground is also the most strange of the 9 great forbidden grounds. Back then, I went in with the Emperor of the Underworld once. We almost died in the Heaven Gate Forbidden Ground. Ming said with some lingering fear. Back then, the Emperor of the Underworld had just mastered his divine power and naturally became ambitious. He wanted to enter the Heaven Gate Forbidden Ground to collect the 4 gates of heaven. However, just as he entered the edge of the Forbidden Ground and passed through the projection of the first gate of heaven, he was immediately sent into a terrible space, where an Emperor-level savage beast was sleeping. That time, he almost died in the mouth of that Emperor-level savage beast. Fortunately, he didn't go too deep and immediately pulled out and left the Forbidden Ground. Otherwise, once he went too deep, there would be no way out. Now that he thought about it, Ming's heart trembled slightly. In this sea of fog, there are illusory doors formed by the gate of heaven projections released by the 4 gates of heaven everywhere. It's said that there are a total of 49 illusory doors. The illusory doors inside are endless and uncountable. According to the Master of Destiny of the 3 great sovereigns, this sea of fog is actually an inverted pyramid. It's just that it's deep underground. The Real Gate of Heaven is hidden deep underground. It's extraordinarily difficult to break through. Ming knew that Di Shitian's purpose of coming here was to seize the 4 gates of heaven, so he wouldn't give up easily. This Heaven Gate Forbidden Ground had to be broken through eventually. He didn't try to persuade him anymore and directly told him everything he knew about the Forbidden Ground. Inverted pyramid? Di Shitian was deep in thought. If this Forbidden Ground was really an inverted pyramid, then it would be really strange. What was exposed in front of him was probably the bottom of the pyramid. Yes, behind every illusory door is a space. If you have divination skills, Before entering the gate of heaven, you might be able to greatly increase your chances of survival. Ming said again. There were good and bad spaces behind the gate of heaven. This was a great opportunity and a great fortuitous encounter that came with danger. The more dangerous it was, the more precious the things one would obtain if one really survived. Spiritual items that had been extinct since ancient times and even innate spiritual roots could be found in there. Of course, there were also many spaces where terrifying ferocious beasts lived and countless disasters. Whether one could survive or not depended on one's luck. If you want to know more, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 887. Luck could be said to be very vague, but it was something that could be personally experienced. If one was lucky, they would have a pillow when they wanted to sleep. If they walked by the side of the road, they would kick a treasure. If they drank water, they would be satisfied. If they had great fortune. If they had bad luck, they would be stuck in the gaps between their teeth. However, this heavenly gate forbidden land was the place that tested one's luck the most. Once they entered a certain forbidden land, they wouldn't even have a place to cry. Are you afraid? Di Shitian looked deeply at the vast sea of fog. Suddenly, he stood up and looked at Di Yuer on his shoulder and asked calmly. With father here, Yuer is not afraid, Di Yuer said spiritedly and shook her head. All right, then the two of us will enter this heavenly gate forbidden land. Di Shitian's voice didn't have the slightest bit of fear, only a strong and unwavering confidence. A man should be decisive. Even if there was a mountain of knives and a sea of fire in front of him, it couldn't do anything to him. If he didn't take the heavenly gate, he would not return. Di Shitian was determined to do it. Just as he was about to leave the 100,000 feet mountain and head to the heavenly gate forbidden land, his face suddenly froze. He turned his head and looked to the north. With a thought, he used a flawless divine ability to instantly retract his aura. In the blink of an eye, his entire body became without a trace of aura. Transform. Then, he quickly used the royal extreme thought transformation. His entire body transformed. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a stone that was as tall as a person, standing at the peak of the mountain. From the outside, one wouldn't notice any flaws at all. After turning into a stone, it was really a stone. It was the change in the flesh and blood of the entire monster body. There was no difference at all. Just as Di Shitian hid well. From the north, a gigantic, luxurious, and noble palanquin forged from body wood had arrived from afar. Below the palanquin, 8 burly, 3-meter-tall men lifted the palanquin. They stepped through the air in unison, quickly advancing forward. With every step, they seemed to shrink the ground to an inch, directly appearing several hundred feet away, close to 1,000 feet away. She followed behind a maid in green in front of her. They moved forward quickly. It was a palanquin. The top wasn't sealed. Instead, there was a canopy that hung down from it. Exquisite curtains made from the silk of 10,000-years-old silkworms. One could vaguely see that there was a young man hugging 2 beautiful women in his arms. He enjoyed the delicacies of spirit fruits and the tenderness of beautiful women. Bursts of laughter could be heard. Mansion Lord, we've arrived at the Heaven Gate forbidden area. The maidservant was in the sky above the mountain. She suddenly raised her hand to stop the 8 men who were quickly moving forward. She arrived in front of the carriage and respectfully said, "All right, the heavenly gates are forbidden grounds. This time, I must obtain these 4 heavenly gates. I want to see what kind of expression that Di will have when he sees the genuine 4 heavenly gates." A carefree voice came from the carriage. Then, it ordered, "Don't stop. Enter the forbidden area directly." Yes. The maidservant held a rainbow-colored lantern in her hand. She led the way and quickly landed on the stone tablet in front of the Heaven Gate forbidden area. Then, the entire carriage walked into the sea of fog. The sea of fog only rolled slightly and swallowed them all. They disappeared in the blink of an eye. Carefree King. The stone on the mountain peak strangely turned back into Di Shitian's figure. He stood on the mountain peak with a look of surprise between his brows. Even if the person in the carriage turned into ashes, he would still recognize him. It was definitely the mansion lord of the North Nether Mansion, Carefree King. Back then, in the endless void, he had wanted to use the myriad demon city to kill him. However, he was interrupted by the ancient demon gate and was taken away instantly. Wasn't he taken away by the demon god? To think that he can still appear here. Could it be that he has reached some sort of agreement with the Seven Knights demon sovereign? Or has he already sided with the demon god clan? This fellow is truly detestable. He actually wants to snatch food from my mouth and snatch the 4 heavenly gates. Sakura had clearly heard the words of King Xiaoyao. Naturally, he knew what King Xiaoyao was planning. The demon city was built according to the unparalleled divine city blueprint designed by Tian Jizi in the past. The 4 heavenly gates were the most important among them. With the 4 heavenly gates, it was the true unparalleled divine city. Without them, no matter how high the grade was, there would be a huge flaw. Without the powerful heavenly gates, how could one resist the external enemies? The fact that the heavenly gates in the demon city were fake was a well-known fact. Who would have thought that the Carefree King would want to be the first to seize the 4 heavenly gates, so that the demon city would never have a day of perfection? He wanted to thoroughly humiliate Di Shitian. Ming snorted and said, "This unfettered king is really arrogant and conceited. He thinks that he can take away the 4 gates of heaven from the Heaven Gate Forbidden Zone with just his cultivation level. Does he really think that the Forbidden Zone is his home? He is simply courting death. Find a chance to make him unable to leave the forbidden area." A murderous look flashed across Di Shitian's face. Carefree King had targeted him time and time again. If there was a chance, how could he not kill him on the spot? Moreover, now he wanted to snatch the heavenly gates in front of Di Shitian. This was simply plucking the hair from a tiger's head. "Come, let's go in too." Di Shitian did not say much. He left the mountain and appeared in front of the huge stone tablet. Glancing at the stone tablet, there was an unusually ancient Tao rhyme in the stone tablet. However, he did not stay for long. He quickly shuttled through and walked into the sea of fog. As soon as he came into contact with the dense fog, the fog immediately tumbled and enveloped him. After entering the sea of fog, the scenery in front of him was somewhat different. There was nothing in front of him. There were only 4 ancient and mysterious projections of the heavenly gates that appeared around him. They blocked the east, west, south, and north directions. These 4 gates, whether it was appearance or Tao patterns, were exactly the same. There was not a single flaw to be found. Even the aura was the same. There was no difference at all. Looking up, all one could see were countless projections of the heavenly gates. They were densely packed, and they were distributed in every region. This was the sea of heavenly gates. Lunatic Di, in this heavenly gate forbidden area, you can't fly in the air. However, as long as you pass through 9 heavenly gates, you will be sent to the next heavenly gate forbidden area. This is only the first heavenly gate. 9 heavenly gates means 9 of the most dangerous experiences. If you can pass through it, you are a person with luck. If you are lucky, you will be able to enter those spaces without danger. If you are unlucky, you will immediately be buried in the disaster. Ming could not help but remind him again. Illusion breaker. Sakura didn't open his divine eyes this time. He only slightly used the power of break illusion, wanting to see through the space behind the gate of heaven. However, the strange thing was that every gate of heaven had a hidden power. Looking at it from above, all that could be seen was a piece of blur. He could not see clearly at all. He was not too surprised by this result. "I'll enter the southern heavenly gate." Di Shitian glanced at the heavenly gates around him. He decisively lifted his feet and walked toward the southern heavenly gate. Since he could not see through it, he would see how his luck was. He was not an indecisive person. Once he made a decision, he would immediately do it. Swoosh. His body entered the southern heavenly gate without any obstruction. A strange power wrapped around his body. Suddenly, the color of the scenery changed. His entire body appeared in mid-air. Fortunately, it's not a dangerous place. Ming immediately panted and rejoiced that he did not encounter any danger when he appeared. What's on the barren cliff? Indra glanced at the surroundings and discovered that this space wasn't too big. It was only a radius of 100,000 feet. In this place, there were dense forests, grasslands, and ordinary wild beasts. There was no baleful chi at all. He could take in all the scenery at a glance. However, his eyes were instantly attracted by a barren cliff. The cliff rose from the ground and was 3,000 feet high. The entire cliff was unusually barren. Not a single blade of grass grew on the ground. There was no trace of life. It was completely barren. However, there was a dazzling flash of 7-colored divine light at the top of the cliff. However, the divine light only flashed for a moment before it disappeared. Crazy DI, there must be extraordinary spiritual essence on the cliff. Because it has absorbed all the essence of the entire cliff to support the growth of the spiritual essence, not a single tree can grow on the cliff. Quick, go up there. This is an opportunity. As long as you don't enter a dangerous place, you can usually obtain great benefits. Ming immediately shouted excitedly. This was the principle of opportunity and danger coexisting. Okay. Pick it back. I have the living soil of the 9 heavens. Any spiritual essence can be grown. Di Shitian nodded. He had always been holding on to the spiritual essence of heaven and earth. As long as it was not available, he would collect it and transplant it into the 100-herb garden. Not only could he cultivate more spiritual essence, but he would also not have to look for it when he needed it in the future. This was a reflection of his foundation. Something's not right. Just as he was about to go to the cliff to pick the spiritual essence, his expression changed slightly. He looked at the void not far away. The void was strangely distorting. It was as if something was about to emerge from it. Without thinking, he restrained his aura and performed the invisibility technique. He temporarily hid in mid-air. However, his attention was completely focused on the distorted area. Whoosh! There was a flash of light. 3 silhouettes appeared silently in mid-air. What is this? Di Shitian murmured in his mind in surprise. The 3 figures looked exactly the same as humans. However, they were only 1 meter tall. They were abnormally short and small. However, their clothes and outfits all revealed a mysterious color. It was as if noble blood flowed in their bodies. They were 3 relatively young youths. 2 men and 1 woman. Their bodies glowed with jade-like sparkling divine radiance. They seemed to be works of art carved from jade. In between their eyebrows, there was a mark that looked like a yin-yang taiji diagram. However, this mark looked a little blurry. This is the heavenly human tribe. Ming shouted in surprise. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.